Chapter 1359, A Familiar Scene Few. Haha. Inside the faceless god's chamber, Yunshi took a deep breath and then patted his own face. I can't continue like this anymore. This is the only time when he couldn't rely on any heavenly demon, not even the one called impermanent at the top of the heavenly demon hierarchy. Faced with his first love, Lilibet, this rare opportunity, he had to confess his feelings. Even if he knew the ending would be a failure, it didn't matter. Many clueless young men never had the chance to confess their feelings to their first love in their lifetime. From the first stirrings of affection to realizing he had fallen for that beautiful figure, he just couldn't bring himself to speak up. In school, watching her from behind. After the exam, when he saw her report card. During class activities, he was very excited when he and she were assigned to the same group. He thought he still had plenty of time, believing that one day he would gather the courage to confess his feelings. But in the blink of an eye, they graduated, and he never saw her again for the rest of his life. For most people, their first love comes to an end quietly, often without realizing it was their most beautiful and pure love of their life. It's often when we grow up that we look back on our youthful crushes and suddenly understand. I once loved someone so purely, experiencing such a first love. Like the budding flower of youth, we met before we were fully grown, destined never to blossom together. Well, of course, this doesn't quite fit Yunshi's unique situation. His first love interest was the legendary Sky Sword, protector of the Sky Tower, long before he was born, only visible in his dreams. Many times, he tried to reach her, only to be met by the icy blue glow of the sword. Translated by Gravity Tales? Even so, he still looked forward to meeting his dream girl every time in his dreams. This golden coastline was the sacred place where Yunshi and her had their dates, although it was uncertain if they were actually dates. Seriously speaking, this might be the first time Yunshi gathered courage to communicate with his dream lover. Tap, tap. On the sandy beach of the Gold Coast, there were delicate footprints left by the faceless god. Lilibet remained motionless, her forehead locks occasionally swaying in the sea breeze. Anyone would mistake her for a sculpture of a young girl. The closer he got to Lilibet, the more unsure Yunshi felt. No, this couldn't go on like this. There is no way to impress Lilibet. Not only can he not confess his feelings, but now he is losing the courage to even talk to Lilibet. Nervous. Isn't it strange? Even though he can propose to millions of brides in the water god's world bravely, and lie to the world in the primitive dragon's world, and marry his first, second, third, fourth, fifth queen, he still gets nervous. Though he can bravely propose to many brides in his dreams, Yunshi gets nervous when meeting his first love there. He tells himself there's no turning back once he takes the first step and must speak up. Even if he fails, as long as he can express his true feelings, he wins. However, some things just can't be done. Despite confessing many times before, facing Lilibet makes all his courage falter. Yunshi feels like a failed clown, utterly useless. Ming, the performance hasn't even started yet, and it's about to fail. No, this is not a performance. Lilibet. Yunshi finally spoke. Lilibet's eyes remained ice-cold, showing no emotional response. I've really chosen the hardest path for myself, thought Yunshi with a bitter smile, accepting the inevitable failure of this confession. Perhaps this is the balance, punishing himself by using the heavenly demon instead of confessing to Ouroboros, Cyber Elf Alpha, the Golden Crow Princess, and Shea Longness. Just as Yunshi was about to utter the unspeakable spell, a miraculous event happened, one that probably had zero effect on Lilibet. One by one, black shadows emerged in the forest beyond the Gold Coast line. The dark forest area suddenly had countless ghostly figures appearing. Most of these shadows looked incomplete. Some had no ears. Some had no eyes. Others had a big hole in their chests, with no heart inside. And some had strange growths on their backs, like huge tumors. A few of them wore tattered gear, giving off a different vibe from the other dark shadows. Yunshi wasn't unfamiliar with this scene, as he had been one of those dark shadows when he met Lilibet in his dreams. Lilibet called these twisted creatures wanderers, vowing to eliminate every single one of them and prevent them from getting close to the Sky Tower's gates. The killed spirits turn into ashes and, after being washed by the sea, only the golden gravel symbolizing the essence of the souls remains on this coastline. Nobody knows how many spirits Lilibet has slain to create this gold coast. This is her miraculous land, the sole gold sand deposit that all nightmare sovereigns covet. As the army of spirits emerged, Lilibet's unchanging cold face finally showed a hint of change. It was a serious look, reflecting the mission Lilibet has carried from the twilight of the gods' era to now, her battlefield. Pulling out the ice-blue divine sword from the soul gold sand, Lilibet leaped without hesitation into the thousands of spirits. Seeing this familiar scene, Yunshi's nervousness disappeared. Yes, this is the true form of Lilibet, majestic and incredibly powerful. Her sword is the blade that judges evil, the weapon that cuts souls. For countless years, she rode through this lonely battlefield without hesitation, slaying enemies who outnumbered her by 1,000-fold. No matter where the enemies came from, no matter their race, she never retreated even when the battles left her bruised and battered. Boom! Among the numerous shadows, a lump behind one shadow burst open, revealing a tentacle with large suction cups. On the tentacle, countless sparkling runes swiftly arranged and combined, lighting up one by one at a speed impossible for humans, weaving a forbidden spell of the 7th rank. It was a death curse from the evil god, killing 1,000 enemies but harming oneself 3,000. One after another, black spikes shot up from the ground, indiscriminately slaughtering all units on the battlefield. One by one, lost souls were impaled from below by these black spikes, eventually piercing through their throats, draining them dry, as they struggled helplessly like condemned prisoners. Chapter 1360, The Witch's Scheme. Watching the massive army of lost souls launching a major assault on the Gold Coast line, intermingled among them were powerful lost souls capable of using 7th rank cursed magic from the evil god, and Lilibet engaged in fierce battles with the nightmare sovereigns. Where did they come from? Does Ada's stage have hidden surprises like this? The singularity point on the stage for noble women reflects the inner landscapes of the participants. Everything inside has a source. Are these wandering spirits summoned by Lilibet? I don't think so. Lilibet despises such things, she would surely eradicate them on sight. Well, the prince doesn't seem to have any connection with the spirits from that guy either. Wait, if that's the case, there is someone here who can achieve this. Even if she's not on stage, she's still a part of the Red Heart Queen's masquerade stage. In an instant, everyone's gaze turned towards the figure below, who was looking at the stage scenery with a certain intensity. Dusk Witch, Flora and Red Heart Queen's masquerade have a special contracts participants, Great Crow's host. Only she can cheat at this dance, intervene in the stage without any third parties and bring an army of wandering spirits to the originally peaceful scene, even attracting the followers of the evil god. Flora is really going for it. Does she really want to win this championship so badly? By any means necessary, not bad at all. Although it looks like cheating, and it is cheating in fact, it does not violate the rules of the Red Heart Queen's masquerade. Like the Golden Crow Princess, Flora holds the privilege of the Red Heart Queen's masquerade. Any challenge will appear as the main character in the end, and if she wants, she can interfere with the opponents on the stage. In the past, besides the power of being the main character every time, Flora never used Great Crow's power to interfere with the stage, even during the incident with the god-slaying Sky Sword. Only this time, she made an exception. Godora, why do I see many things in those wandering spirits that look like creatures you have been raising? Isn't that monster who can unleash piercing spells one of the elite spirits on your side? Flora didn't act until the last moment, but when she did, it was with a big move, turning the once peaceful Gold Coast into a battlefield filled with chaos and bloodshed. Well, if she learns more about love, she might understand that humans are more likely to fall deeply in love when facing a crisis. If you defeat another 1,000 monsters, I'll give you a special deal, Godora. Under the stage, Flora watched the battle on the Gold Coast closely. If it weren't against the rules, she might have joined the fight herself. Anyone who stands in the way of the witch's once-in-a-lifetime love should be removed, whether you are the Sky Sword or anyone else, just get out of my sight. The Gold Coast is located at the border between the Sky Tower and the Soul Sea. Only wandering spirits, twisted beings between life and death, can easily enter. Otherwise, Lilibet would have faced not only an army of spirits. The wandering monster that shoots deadly black spikes is one of the 12 Nightmare Sovereigns, a super weapon trained by Godora, codenamed Impaler, nightmare creatures. Before the main body fell, it was truly a legendary presence at the legend rank. Even though the remnants that existed after death as wandering spirits had less than 1/10 of the power of the main body, they were still top-notch in the category of pseudo-legend rank. By sending out this high-ranking general, Nightmare Sovereign Godora had promised Flora quite a few rewards. The clearly ancient god-styled tentacle-shaped forbidden technique was Impaler's innate spell, which could be silently activated on the battlefield without an incantation, affecting the military formation. It was a technique of indiscriminate slaughter, not only against enemies but also towards allies. Translated by Gravity Tales? Every time Impaler used this ancient god's forbidden technique to kill a unit, they would gain a certain amount of magical enhancement. The more enemies there were, the stronger the power of the forbidden technique became. After killing about 1,000 of their own people, the intricate patterns on the tentacles on Impaler's back became more complex and refined, gradually forming a contour resembling an eye's iris. That was the eye of the ancient gods, gazing upon this world, the upper-level ancient gods from the contract of this legend rank Impaler before death. Upon seeing the thick soul gold sand on the gold coastline, the eye of this ancient gods clearly showed a look of pleasant surprise. For any evil god, Nightmare Sovereign, this place is a huge treasure trove. Soul gold sand is a valuable commodity in the Abyss and Nightmare world, even more valuable than world tree leaves, and always in high demand. The delicious souls contained within are an irresistible temptation for any evil god like Nightmare Sovereign. Even a small bag of low-quality soul gold sand can be traded for a genuine body part of an evil god, allowing ordinary humans without any qualifications to advance to become hero-ranked evil god priests. A bag of medium-quality soul gold sand can be exchanged for an evil god embryo to possess, obtaining a twisted yet genuine extraordinary life template that eliminates the vital parts of the human brain and heart. The soul gold sand on Lilibet's Gold Coast, after being washed in the Soul Sea for millions of years, has reached an almost impeccable quality, making it the highest quality soul gold sand in the entire Endless Gods domain. Do you think the 12 Nightmare Sovereigns in the first round are drooling over this gold coastline? They are all tempted by it. Digging up a bag of soul gold sand here can be exchanged for a pile of evil god body parts to roast and eat until you are full. Asterisk gulp. Asterisk even though it had no mouth, only eyes, the eyes of this evil god made a movement similar to swallowing saliva. With the special power of the evil god's eye, Impaler was able to use 7th rank magic talents and strengthen them enough to unlock the evil god's eye. Yes, that's right, unleash your ultimate move. Take that, evil god. Flora eagerly watched the insane Impaler. It was impossible to defeat Lilibet in a battle. The Gold Coastline was Lilibet's stronghold, even with Shea Longness's help, they wouldn't stand a chance. Even if the 7th rank forbidden magic was doubled in strength, it would still be useless. Flora summoned a huge army of spirits onto the stage, never intending to defeat Lilibet. Her goal was simple: to disrupt the unspoken rhythm between the elders and Lilibet, which seemed to control everything, but actually just left them too nervous to speak. Kill, kill, kill as much as you want, unleash your fury, as long as you don't get sentimental with the elders, I'll send thousands of spirits without hesitation. Look, elder, this fierce sky sword isn't really your style, is it? Chapter 1361. The Witch's Reinforcement. Lilibet held her azure Excalibur with both hands, and with a powerful strike, she split the entire forest in half, cutting the fiercest wraith in half from the middle. Yes, that's it, elder. Did you see how fierce the sky sword is? Flora below the stage was very satisfied with the performance of the wraith army. They should just swarm in and let Lilibet slay them all. With this, all impressions of being a gentle lady are gone in smoke. In this world, there are no gentle ladies swinging big swords and slaughtering their opponents all day. Yunshi looked at Lilibet's sword strike aimed at the vitals, showing a nostalgic expression. In his dreams, he had been defeated many times by this clean and sharp sword. Interestingly, among all the sky swords he had encountered, this was the only one that truly used the power of the divine sword to kill opponents. Shea Longness's legendary sword, the Slime Sky Sword, he had never seen it in person, but it seemed to be a sword related to the evolution of species. The battle god Cassina's legendary sword, the Sand of Time, he had seen and touched it before, but Cassina the battle god had never used this sword in battle, only using this rare time-based god weapon to assist in training. Only Lilibet's sword, the Azure Excalibur, was truly used to slay enemies, possessing the power of order. This legendary sword had overwhelming destructive power against all enemies deemed guilty. By using the forbidden art of the 7th rank and awakening an evil god's eye, the Impaler, upon being struck by a single sword, began to disintegrate on a large scale, like a statue weathered for millions of years. However, as the remnants of a former legend rank, a disciple of the old gods, and the current war weapon of Nightmare Sovereign Godora, the Impaler was not so easily destroyed. The patterns on the giant tentacles lit up one by one, forming a structure resembling flower petals, and once again unleashed the forbidden art used earlier, the evil Shadow Pisser. Over 3,000 black spikes shot up from the ground, nearly piercing through half of the army of lost souls, to restore its own injuries. At the same time, at the front of the massive tentacle, a black diamond-shaped spike over 10 meters long formed, targeting Lilibet. Boom! Like thunder, like lightning, like a storm, before the black spike shot out, the faceless god's fist arrived. Hard fist, a powerful punch, the faceless god turned into a silver flash, striking the spirit's tentacle just as it was about to deal a deadly blow. Silent ripples spread out, absorbing the essence of thousands of spirits. The powerful Impaler, almost at its peak strength, was shattered by the faceless god's punch. The twisted eye of the evil god burst like a crushed persimmon, splattering silently but with a terribly pitiful wail. Yunshi frowned and stomped down with his foot. With a snap, the elite spirit monster that even Lilibet would have taken time to deal with was brutally killed by the faceless god's fist. Well. Lilibet nodded. Seeing Lilibet nod indicated that the faceless god's method of slaying elite spirits was remarkably outstanding. This speed, this explosive power. Yunshi found it hard to believe himself. Did he really just smash the head of this elite Impaler with one punch? That eye-like thing, if it were in Sia's world, would be a monster approaching the concept of the world's limit. In order to deal with such a monster, the one controlling the faceless god in Sia's world almost had to burn everything to achieve the same thing. With just that punch, he charged forward naturally, making the punch. Everything felt as smooth as flowing water, completely effortless. To describe it, it was like when he fought Cassina the battle god not long ago, experiencing the highest level of soft water palm for the first time. Perhaps this punch is still somewhat far from the divine realm of Cassina the battle god, but it's just a difference of around 50 or 100 steps, clearly within the same level of distinction. This is impossible. Yunshi himself knew well that he was still thousands of miles away from the realm of teacher Cassina the battle god. Even Azura in the state of the six-armed demon god, faced with the divine soft water palm of teacher Cassina the battle god, was left with internal injuries all over. How could he, who could barely control the faceless god, have just made that punch? It's useless, Impaler, Godora, put in something stronger and more enduring. Translated by Gravity Tales? Otherwise, Lilibet might get rid of Impaler easily. Ignoring the fact that poor Impaler was killed by the faceless god, Flora decided to send more troops into battle. I need more rewards. To Nightmare Sovereign, his subordinates are all expendable. In Nightmare World, twisted beings of this level are constantly being born. As long as they are not true legends, all nightmare creatures are considered cannon fodder by Nightmare Sovereign. Only special nightmare creatures like the procession of Red Heart Queen and gourmet chefs deserve careful protection. Monsters like Impaler, made from the remains of a deceased legend rank, can be killed without affecting Nightmare Sovereign's power. No problem, I'll give you good stuff. Give me stronger monsters, they won't be taken out in one go. Flora clenched her teeth as she watched the sweeping army of lost souls. She would never give Lilibet and her senior a chance to bond, even if it meant committing over 10 times more troops to wear down their time together. Very well, Flora, I'll arrange it now. Let's open the gates. Even as the referee, there was no authority to directly intervene by deploying troops on the stage. Only Flora, possessing the power of the Great Crow, could accomplish such a miracle. The many lost souls appearing on the Gold Coast were all bought by Flora with real gold and silver from God Aura. Judging by the number of defeated lost souls, Flora has spent enough resources to bankrupt a medium-sized God's domain. At the back of the Lost Soul army, several strange lost souls began to appear on the battlefield, breaking free from their teleportation state. These few lost souls appeared more twisted than the others, looking like giant bugs transformed into human-like forms. It's because their true nature is different. They are not native creatures of the Endless God's domain, but invaders from beyond the Endless God's domain. They belong to the Zerg tribe, specially engineered with the strength of a high-ranking Zerg tribe leader. Covered in demon worm battle armor of red, yellow, and blue, despite being twisted by nightmare power, they still retained the standard equipment of a Zerg tribe leader in their previous life. Chapter 1362, The Arrival of the Demon Worm. Compared to most lost souls in chaotic frenzy with only a killing instinct, these three mutated Zerg tribe lost souls recently released onto the battlefield by Nightmare Sovereign God Aura and Great Witch Flora clearly retained more combat abilities. That is something engraved in the instinct of the Zerg tribe, and in an instant, 3 Zerg tribe elite souls completed the division of ranks based on their positions in the Zerg tribe legion. The lowest rank belongs to the blue Zerg tribe elite. Its demon worm battle armor is similar to the heavy shell-shaped armor of a deep blue Taurus beetle, with white dots decorating the deep blue shell, and a pair of trembling antennae growing on its forehead. Known for its strong defense and extraordinary perception, the Taurus-type demon worm also possesses immense strength for charging into battle, making it a melee-enhanced demon worm. The middle rank belongs to the yellow Zerg tribe elite. The armor displays golden patterns, which can open and close freely, with transparent insect wings hidden inside the shell, capable of both land combat and aerial combat forms. Translated by Gravity Tales, the scarab-shaped demon worm can transform into a siege engine in land combat form, while its flying form can unleash supersonic assaults, making it a versatile demon worm. The top rank belongs to none other than the red demon worm. With a deep red exoskeleton, its limbs form weapons resembling knight's spears, while its lower body takes on a stance similar to an 8-legged spider. The Knight-type demon worm is an extraordinary demon worm with enhanced combat abilities. It is the reserve force of the Zerg tribe's King of Destruction, leading a legion of extraordinary demon worms. Its combat power is several times higher than that of a normal Zerg tribe leader, making it the elite among elites. Not bad, finally bringing out some good stuff. Great Witch Flora has also visited the battlefields of the Endless God's domain and the extraterritorial Zerg tribe for black market trading, understanding the terrifying nature of these elite Zerg tribe members. They have no fear in their hearts, charging forward fearlessly even in the face of certain death in battle. In a normal army of the Endless God's domain, if the casualties exceed 10%, the morale will begin to waver. Those who can maintain morale even with over 20% losses are truly elite troops. Those who do not collapse with over 30% losses are very few. Those who can still fight with over 40% losses are all ace troops. If the losses exceed 50%, it usually means being surrounded and may lead to complete annihilation. The Zerg tribe army does not have the concept of morale. Even if only one Zerg tribe member remains, they will follow orders and fight to the end. Even facing the strongest warriors of the Zerg tribe, there is no concept of fear among the lower-ranked soldiers, which is a natural instinct present in all beings but not applicable to the Zerg tribe army. There have been attempts by powerful beings from Endless God's domain to tame and control these powerful Zerg tribe units, but all have ended in failure. Unless they are killed, trying to control the minds of the Zerg tribe is useless unless manipulating the dead corpses, as the Insect Princess holds absolute control over the entire Zerg tribe army. With the presence of the Insect Princess, the master of the Zerg tribe legion, having complete authority over all Zerg tribe army units. From the terrifying starry sky demon worm that rules the skies, to the countless low-ranking demon worms like locusts that make up the basic Zerg tribe units. The commands of the Insect Princess can reach every unit in this massive army, which is something that even the most intelligent species from the Endless God's domain cannot achieve. The The Zerg tribe wandering units appearing on the Gold Coast battlefield are no longer considered part of the Zerg tribe, having been devoured by the Nightmare World after the death of the higher-ranked Zerg tribe units, twisted into nightmare creatures. Despite this transformation, they possess combat skills and independent fighting abilities that are unimaginable to other wandering spirits. Even as the supposed master nightmare sovereign Godora, they probably can't fully control these terrible demon worm spirits. Sending these unruly but incredibly powerful demon worm spirits to the battlefield not only satisfies Great Witch Flora, but also tests the strength of these demon worm spirits, achieving two goals at once. Especially the Night-type demon worm, this is the reserve forces of the Zerg tribe's top combat unit, capable of evolving into the Star Domain's terrifying form known as the Starry Sky Demon Worm. That kind of monster that can roam the stars has a record of killing gods, being the strongest demon worm under the command of the Insect Princess, causing huge losses in the Endless Gods domain every time it appears. Fortunately, Endless Gods domain is also strong enough, with 4 creator rank occasionally sending out powerful legions to stop the Zerg tribe's advance, successfully halting the Zerg tribe army outside the northern star domain. The credit goes to the dragon god Asher's dragon nest. The super nest that creates a large number of war dragons, along with the dragon god Apostle Tornadoes guarding the border of the northern god's domain, serves as the main force against the Zerg tribe. Hiss. Even though the original body has long perished, only twisted spirits exist here. The Night-type demon worm as a Starry Sky demon worm reserve still holds absolute leadership over all the lower-ranking demon worms. A screech incomprehensible to humans, the scarab-shaped demon worm first took flight, instantly establishing air superiority over the battlefield. Through the sensing and sharing ability of the Taurus-type demon worm under the ground, the whole battlefield was neatly divided into several squares. Among them, Lilibet was specially marked as a huge red unit, followed by the Faceless God. The rest of the less intelligent wandering souls were mostly white units, with only a few elite wandering souls also brought in by Nightmare Sovereign Godora, marked as blue units. 3 demon worm wandering souls were golden units, with the Night-type demon worm as the core, unfolding a strategic map. Identify enemies. Sharp light gleamed from the eyes under the helmet of the Night-type demon worm. It forgot the past, forgot where it came from, where to go, and what it was. But there was one thing it wouldn't forget. It was a warrior species. A weapon that would spare no effort, follow a great will, and completely destroy hostile targets. Weapons should gallop on the battlefield. Even twisted into wraiths, the knights of the Zerg tribe remain knights. The Nightmare Sovereign Godora cannot command this Night-type demon worm. Only the Great Insect Princess can command it, who is currently engaging in war at the boundary between the Northern God's domain and the Endless God's domain. Without the command of the Insect Princess, the Night-type demon worm has independent battlefield command. Now, it identifies Lilibet and the Faceless God as enemies. The dormant fighting instinct within the Night-type demon worm's body has awakened. The Taurus-type demon worm let out a low growl, and a temporary legion head team of the Zerg tribe was formed on the channel. Attack! The knight-like demon worm raised its long spear made of bone and charged towards Lilibet. The golden turtle demon worm in the sky flipped over and entered superspeed mode, rushing towards the Faceless God. Chapter 1363, Target Found Charge. Crush. Blast away. When the knight-like demon worm charged, it ignored all the wandering spirits in front of it. These white spirits were not seen as allies at all by the demon worm. From the moment the Zerg tribe team entered the battle, it became their stage. Complete obedience to orders in military training. Control over the entire battlefield. Just as they appeared, the Zerg tribe team became the center of attention on the battlefield. Even the Nightmare Sovereigns in the sky became excited spectators of this unprecedented war drama, the Red Heart Queen's masquerade in history. Godora, how much did you get paid? You sent out the rare Zerg tribe demon worm. Where did you find that handsome knight-looking one? I also want to collect a knight like that. It's an extremely rare leadership unit. Godora, name your price. I want to buy one-hand knight. Godora pretended not to know anything when faced with offers from other Nightmare Sovereigns. I don't have any knight type, "This is not my business, I don't know what's going on." Other nightmare sovereigns said that Godora was pretending, "Everyone knows that you like to collect rare soul fragments. The soul fragments of the evil god just now, and the demon worm soul now, are rare species that are rarely seen in the nightmare world. It's easier to get the soul fragments of the evil god, as nightmare sovereigns and the ancient gods of the abyss have a relationship, but getting the demon worm soul is very rare and difficult. The demon worm soul is rare because there are no Zerg tribe in the endless gods domain. You have to go to the northern gods domain to collect them from the dragon tribe and Zerg tribe's death battlefield. Tanados, the dragon apostle guarding there, is known as the nest of 10,000 dragons. She hates the nightmare sovereign's legendary giant dragons, and when she sees them, she never holds back. Only Godora, the passionate soul collector, would do something like getting the demon worm soul from the border war zone, even if it means being destroyed by Tanados. Tanados, who is known as the nest of 10,000 dragons and valued by the dragon god Asher, is a true legendary 9th rank, the strongest position below the creator rank. Even 10 Godoras are no match for her. To collect demon worm spirits under Tanados's nose must be incredibly courageous. I already said, "This isn't mine." Godora stubbornly denied releasing the rare demon worm spirits on the battlefield. It was only because of the irresistible reward offered by Flora that the rare night-type demon worm spirits were released, otherwise, they would never have been set loose. Of course, the fact that these Zerg tribe spirits never obeyed the great nightmare sovereign Godora, no matter the threats or temptations, had something to do with it. The Zerg tribe species, even in spirit form, refused to obey anyone else's orders, which was truly remarkable. Boom. 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 The massive knight's spear struck against Lilibet's icy blue divine sword, halting Lilibet's onslaught for the first time. Lilibet faced a night-type demon worm with multiple legs and couldn't help but reveal a hint of surprise. Zerg tribe. Throughout the history of guarding the Sky Tower, Lilibet had encountered Zerg tribe spirits only a few times, a species not commonly found in the Endless Gods domain. However, this doesn't mean Lilibet never fought the Zerg tribe. In the Twilight Age of the Gods, the Zerg tribe army from beyond the skies was one of the main reasons for the World Tree, which supported the world of gods at that time, being nibbled away. At that time, Lilibet, who was already a divine sword wielder, had fought against the destructive demon worms of the Zerg tribe. This fearless Zerg tribe left a deep impression on all the races involved in the war at that time. God race. With a single strike, the night-type demon worm found a record in the Zerg tribe's memory bank. It was a record of the battle between the ancient insect swarm and the legion of the era of the gods of the Endless Gods domain. Although this record was somewhat incomplete due to soul drifting, once a special legend rank like Lilibet was recorded in the database, it would definitely be engraved in the most important area. In the eyes of others, the Zerg tribe army was mostly seen as mindless, only using numerical advantage to overwhelm the enemy, and suicidal charges. This impression is actually very wrong. The lower-ranking demon worm units indeed have little intelligence and only follow orders from higher units to attack the enemy. Their biggest advantage is numbers, so they prefer to use swarm tactics. Translated by Gravity Tales. The higher-ranking units of the Zerg tribe are not inferior to humans in intelligence and also hold the shared memory bank of the entire insect swarm. As a leadership-type night-type demon worm, even though the war between the Zerg tribe and the gods happened in the ancient Twilight Age of the Gods, the record of the Azure Excalibur user will never be forgotten. It is listed as a target of great threat. A girl carrying Azure Excalibur, one of the strongest heroic spirits of the Twilight Age of the God. A certain emotion called excitement began to emerge in the night-type demon worm. The Zerg tribe are not emotionless creatures, it's just that lower-level demon worms cannot express their emotions, while high-ranking demon worms have very distinct personalities. Even starry sky demon worms with the king template have their own unique preferences. Some really enjoy drinking a beverage called coffee. Some like to show off by wearing human attire. Some enjoy collecting various plants to create gardens. Of course, obeying the commands of the insect princess is always non-negotiable. It's just that within the boundaries allowed by the insect princess, or during times of complete autonomy, they indulge in their hobbies. 4 Night-type demon worms with the Night template, battle is their greatest hobby. The satisfaction and glory of defeating powerful enemies is the destiny bestowed upon the upper-level demon worm by the insect princess. So, upon recognizing the Azure Excalibur commander, the Divine Tribe, and Lilibet in the database, the Night-type demon worm, usually calm and emotionless, once again felt a surge of excitement in its soul. In the Battle of the Twilight of the Gods in history, the Divine Tribe camp, which was the predecessor of the Endless Gods domain, had engaged in countless catastrophic wars with insect swarms from beyond the domain, shattering more than dozens of star domains. As a Night-type demon worm, there was no greater honor than fighting against the heroic units of the Divine Tribe. Insect Princess's orders. Divines must be annihilated. Divines spotted, eliminate. Divines must die. After confirming Lilibet's identity, the Zerg tribe squad that entered the scene all entered a frenzy of battle mode. Chapter 1364, The Fallen Demon Worm in Battle Charge. After giving orders to its 2 subordinates, the Night-type demon worm launched a reckless attack on Lilibet. Encountering such a battlefield and battling the long-lost celestial beings, upper-level demon worm found it to be a very satisfying ending. The so-called wandering souls are mostly twisted entities formed by the strong spirit's obsession after death. Some even carry their abilities and equipment from their past lives. However, they have no future, just something similar to unburned ashes formed after their main bodies die. For the Night-type demon worms that had long perished on the border frontlines, their greatest obsession remaining was battle and absolute obedience to the insect princess. The Zerg tribe's absolute command system, even if turned into wandering souls, did not disappear, as it had long been engraved into the Zerg tribe's souls. Buzz. The scarab-shaped demon worm in the sky flipped over and launched an ultrasonic shockwave that human eyes couldn't identify, an invisible subsonic wave covering the battlefield, causing many weaker wandering souls to scatter directly. The Taurus-type demon worm on the ground abandoned its active mapping radar function, lowering its head and charging straight towards Lilibet's location. No way. Yunshi jumped up and kicked the scarab-shaped demon worm that was moving at super high speed, sending it flying onto the charging path of the Taurus-type demon worm. Flying and with reduced defense, the scarab-shaped demon worm couldn't resist the powerful impact and crashed head-on into the sharp horn at the front of the Taurus-type demon worm. Its transparent wings were pierced and torn, and its body was crushed and rolled over many times. Translated by Gravity Tales? Hey. Ha. With his left hand forward and his right hand pulling back like drawing a bow, Yunshi powered up slowly. Boom. Like thunder exploding on the ground, the silver body of the faceless god turned into a silver lightning bolt racing across the ground. Advanced move, Thunder Light Fist. An advanced technique of the battle god style's solid foundation bow step charged punch, using an instant burst of power to punch through the central straight-line assault technique, concentrating the explosive force in a fist to unleash an upper-level skill. Boom. A massive shockwave exploded at the head of the Taurus-type demon worm. Even its renowned heavy armor couldn't withstand the punch from the faceless god, shattering almost half of its head. Despite that, the strong life force of the demon worm named Taurus-type allowed it to survive, and the blue patterns on its body began to glow. Pierced by the Taurus-type demon worm's horns, the scarab-shaped demon worm with torn wings also recovered, and its tattered wings quickly started to heal. Bring it on. Yunshi had never felt so exhilarated using his punches, finishing the first move, Thunder Light Fist, then stomping his foot on the ground again. Double the power, Thunder Light Fist's second strike. Almost defying normal physics, after the first strike, actively using special techniques to cancel the stiffness of his movements, then instantly unleashing the second blow. Putting it into reality, the first punch of the faceless god smashed half of the Taurus-type demon worm's head, followed by another punch that pierced its heart. Like a lightning bolt piercing the sky, then splitting into equally large branches seemingly at its end, turning a single fatal punch into a double impact. The distance of the strike, close to zero. The target of the attack, freely chosen. This is a display of using the unreasonable body strength of rigid bodies to its fullest extent. Only this kind of body strength can withstand this abnormal level of force. If a normal person were to strike like this, their muscles, tendons, and so on would have torn long ago. The Taurus-type demon worm hadn't even had a chance to unleash its strongest attack technique before it was exploded by the faceless god from the exact center. The belated golden tortoise released high-frequency sound waves that only made the faceless god furrow his brows, kick away the body of the Taurus-type demon worm with one foot, then turned around and once again assumed a brawling posture. Lock on. Fire. Even though the scarab-shaped demon worm, which had repaired most of its wings, flew unsteadily, it couldn't escape the lock of this thunder-light fist. Silver lightning tore through the atmosphere, piercing through the scarab-shaped demon worm that had already flown hundreds of meters high, before landing safely. That was easy. Is this really the hard fist that I just unleashed? Yunshi looked at his hands, almost not recognizing the incredibly familiar silver-white palms. He still has several levels to go before reaching the realm of hard fist training, right? How come he could easily perform a technique that only the battle god in Cassina the battle god could do after reaching the peak of physical mastery? And he could use it effortlessly. The solid body techniques simulated by the Parfu system can be executed smoothly, just like breathing naturally. Not only the solid body techniques, but also the flawless simulation of soft body. It doesn't seem like a move that someone at the hero rank could perform. What exactly is different? Boom. On the other side, the Red Knight-type demon worm charging at Lilibet with a suicidal attack met with expected defeat. It unleashed a high-speed thrust at the cost of its life, but Lilibet's azure divine sword blocked it all and even caused half of its body to turn into ice and snow crystals. The sword of divine punishment. It was difficult to explain Lilibet's sword's special ability. The Knight-type demon worm looked at its fallen comrades, the compound eyes under its helmet flickering with a faint red light. Without a doubt, to Azure Excalibur, the guardian of order, all races invading the Endless God's domain were considered enemies. As a member of the divine race, Lilibet held a merciless attitude towards all invading Zerg tribe members. More icy blue patterns started spreading on the shell of the Knight-type demon worm. The Knight-type demon worm, now transformed into a wandering spirit, could hear the final countdown. 5. 4. It tried its best. As a Knight-type demon worm, it could proudly lift its head and look at the world's scenery once again. Hail to the insect princess! Uttering its final sound, the body of the Knight-type demon worm was completely engulfed by the icy blue patterns, shattered, and began to break apart piece by piece. It's not over yet. How could it be so easy for you to die? If you die now, I would have failed to pay Ghidorah's reward. A magical voice emerged from the core of the Knight-type demon worm. Is it the insect princess? Then I shall give you the treasure of the insect princess. Demon worm, attack. We must not let Lilibet and the elder have any time to hurt me. Huh. Lilibet sensed something, swung a frosty blue sword light, completely shattering the body of the Knight-type demon worm. But it was too late. Chapter 1365. The Power of the Insect Princess. Great Witch Flora is a daring smuggler who dares to defy all commercial principles of the Endless God's domain, a notorious dealer in contraband goods. Whatever abyssal old god, nightmare sovereign, cultist, as long as there is profit to be made, she dares to trade. As the only great witch in the Endless God's domain who can smuggle through dimensional rifts without limit, she not only deals with the major powers in the Endless God's domain, but also smuggles without fail even the common enemies of the Endless God's domain. Yes, I'm talking about the Zerg tribe. If it weren't for the special rules of the Gold Coastline, Flora might have sent the old gods over there. Something was sent from the unpredictable dimensional rifts into the body of this Knight-type demon worm. In terms of size, it was just as small as a human pinky finger, and it seemed like it would have no effect on the battlefield. However, for the three fallen demon worms, the importance of this thing was beyond measure. Just the faint scent of this thing caused the three demon worms to undergo huge changes simultaneously. With half of its head shattered, its heart pierced, and all internal organs crushed by the force of the faceless god, the Taurus-type demon worm started to shrink and mutate. A brand new Taurus-type demon worm crawled out from the body of the deceased old Taurus demon worm. The scarab-shaped demon worm, whose wings were torn and body cut in half by the faceless god, also underwent a similar transformation, abandoning its huge body and turning into a pocket-sized golden turtle, flying into the sky. Inside the shattered remains of the Night-type demon worm, which was completely broken by the divine punishment of Lilibet Azure Excalibur, a red light was brewing in the core of the Night-type demon worm, spreading out. Zerg tribe. Lilibet sensed the long-lost scent from the wreckage of the Night-type demon worm. The legendary insect princess's presence. In the void, all 12 nightmare sovereigns couldn't help but open their mouths wide. Even Godora, who sold 3 demon worm souls to Flora, never imagined she would produce such a thing. Does this really exist? Is it a fragment of the insect princess? Or a clone? Flora, she can even get her hands on something like this. Indeed, the one thrown into the Gold Coast battle by Flora was a clone of the insect princess, who was in conflict with the Endless God's domain, a long slender crystal bee. It was the illusion of the Zerg tribe army invading the pyramid peak of the Endless God's domain. The clear and translucent body shone with a strange amber color, containing tangled red and blue halos, like the reflection of a dazzling galaxy. Codename Young Bee. Number of troops commanded unknown. Number of starry sky demon worms under command unknown. Seat worm, starry sky demon worm ranked 7th among demon worms under Duke Safa. Most information about the insect princess remains unclear. It is known that since the twilight age of the gods, the Zerg tribe commanded by the insect princess has fought multiple wars against the Endless God's domain, engaging with the strongest legions under the command of 4 creator-rank beings, with varying outcomes. Currently, the huge army of the insect princess is still engaged in battle with the strongest legion under dragon god Asher of the northern god's domain, for reasons unknown. Even the 12 nightmare sovereigns couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw the seemingly delicate crystal bee. Yes, that is the body part used by the insect princess Young Bee to command her insect army. The dazzling halo is one of the unique traits of the insect princess, symbolizing the highest commander of the Zerg tribe's vast army capable of interstellar warfare. In the deadly battleground of the northern god's domain, once an insect princess fragment is discovered, it becomes the target for all the legendary ranks to attack with all their might. Because this insect princess fragment has the ability to create over billions of Zerg tribe units, it can be considered a presence akin to a demon king. If such an insect princess fragment were to enter the Endless God's domain, the resulting disaster would be unimaginable. Flora, you are so brave. It's just a failed split specimen, probably only has a few days left to live, no need to worry. Flora shrugged. It's because it's a failed specimen that she could buy it from that dangerous insect princess. Even if she is a fearless smuggler, she wouldn't buy a complete insect princess fragment, it's just too uncontrollable. An insect princess fragment that can only survive for 3 days is equivalent to a cursed spell of insect calamity, use it when necessary. Insect princess. This time, Lilibet's expression changed. She also felt a very dangerous aura coming from the wreckage of that night-type demon worm. 3 demon worm spirits that were already dead beyond death, underwent incredible changes because of this aura. This is the insect princess. Even a damaged part of the insect princess is the supreme ruler for the Zerg tribe, able to freely manipulate the laws of the insect life. The unique power of the insect princess is to give new life to the dead demon worms. This new life does not mean resurrection, but inheriting the memory bank of the fallen demon worm, giving birth to a brand new demon worm in a different way. The brand new demon worm absorbs the experience of the last battle, fills its own shortcomings, and becomes stronger than the previous generation. Translated by Gravity Tales. The upper-level demon worms of the Zerg tribe evolve from generation to generation this way. As long as the insect princess remains alive and has enough resources, they can continuously produce powerful demon worms in large quantities. To make the tribe stronger, more star domains are needed as resources. To occupy more star domains, it is necessary to defeat the indigenous tribes that possess those resource-rich star domains. It's like a cycle where the Zerg tribe must continually multiply, grow stronger, and ultimately become a terrifying species that will shake the entire galaxy. The newborn golden turtle demon worm sleekly shed its huge body and wings to adapt to large-scale army battles. Now facing only 2 opponents, It no longer needed such big wings and body. Similarly, the Taurus-type demon worm drastically reduced its size for enhanced perception and defense. Together with the golden turtle demon worm, they became support-type demon worms. As for the combat-type demon worm, one night-type demon worm was enough. Chosen by the insect princess to be the temporary seat worm, the night-type demon worm transformed into a special red streamlined structure with triangular tail wings, deep red main wings, and a shimmering red and blue glow all over its body. This template is for the legendary rank demon worm, fitting the insect princess's vehicle. The whole process was very fast, so fast that as Lilibet swung her sword, the night-type demon worm, which would have long been reduced to pieces, had already completed its rebirth. The next moment, the red demon worm flew up into the sky, with red and blue sparks shimmering all over its body. This was the prelude to a great departure. Chapter 1366. Flora is very busy. Lilibet watched the insect princess in the sky as usual, without much interest. Even if it was the end of the world, it's likely that her personality wouldn't change much. She had been guarding the Sky Tower since the twilight age of the gods, and had turned the power of order into instinct. Her coldness was not distant and indifferent, but a calmness and confidence that had been accumulating for millions of years. Even against the chaos of the endless god's domain, she dared to challenge the Zerg tribe, the four creator beings. That determination, that strong and unwavering gaze, that will to fight regardless of the number or strength of the opponents, was what Yunshi couldn't forget since his youth, the scenery of his first love. The shrunken Taurus-type demon worm and scarab-shaped demon worm followed the insect princess, floating on both sides of the mutated night demon worm, becoming the complete auxiliary magic worm. The Taurus-type demon worm created a dark blue shield, while the scarab-shaped demon worm released numerous golden dots, creating a faint gold pattern that washed over the entire shield like waves. The two demons revolved around the red night demon worm like satellites orbiting a planet. Inside the red night demon worm, the young bee transformed into a small point shimmering with golden light, commanding the demon worm with true legend rank combat power to spread its wings. The insect princess, with her streamlined body and artistic shape, had evolved to perfection without any ugly parts, not even the dominant seat worm. Lilibet's sword, Azure Excalibur, had its compass on the hilt open up. This meant that the young bee, now possessed by the seat worm, was the opponent that needed to be judged. The night demon worm, almost a trinity now, along with two auxiliary magic worms, strengthened by the insect princess young bee, possessed a true legendary combat power that was almost threefold the passing line that the evil god Fragment Soul barely reached through forbidden techniques earlier. The ancient words of the twilight age of the gods appeared on the compass of Azure Excalibur. You don't know, but he is everywhere. As things change, the door to 3,000 worlds opens. Divine punishment. Activate. 3 strands of ice blue hair on Lilibet's forehead stood upright, fluttering in the wind as if receiving a mysterious signal. Go all out. Give it your all. Annihilate, Zerg tribe. Lilibet's demeanor changed, her cold and merciless eyes were all too familiar to share longness below the stage. It was a sign that Lilibet was about to unleash a massacre, even towards fellow allies like the Sky Sword. She would show no mercy when striking. In her divine punishment mode, Lilibet would unleash the hidden power of Azure Excalibur to eliminate all opponents. However, just as Lilibet raised her sword, ready to unleash the divine punishment attack, the compass of Azure Excalibur suddenly emitted chaotic ripples, causing the divine inscriptions to become scrambled. Warning, warning. Things have changed. The Sky Tower's core is under attack. Mission sequence change. Return to the Sky Tower. Lilibet paused for a moment. This warning meant that the real-world Sky Tower was under attack from the outside, and it was a very serious warning. In a certain area of the real world, Eastern God's domain, dozens of huge black tentacles surrounded a very ancient Sky Tower beacon, blocking out the sky. Through a loophole discovered by a witch, about 7 evil gods from the abyss eagerly reached out their claws towards the Sky Tower. The area they attacked was the warehouse district discovered by a Sky Sword, which fell under Lilibet's protection duty. Inside, there were very important things for Lilibet, things she was willing to temporarily leave her position as guardian of the Sky Tower to retrieve. The coordinates of this loophole were naturally provided by Shea Longness, who had escaped from here, a masterpiece of a certain noble lady alliance behind the scenes. Beneath the stage, Great Witch Flora revealed a victorious smile. She couldn't directly invade Lilibet's gold coastline, but the Sky Tower was such a big target with a big loophole. Translated by Gravity Tales? Since we're doing everything we can, let's do this good deed and send Lilibet away quickly. Guardian of the Sky Tower, it's time for you to go home. Attack from both inside and outside, using two methods at the same time. Dusk Witch Flora is very busy now for love and respect for her seniors. Oh no, when Yunshi saw Lilibet stop suddenly for unknown reasons, he had a bad feeling. In the sky, Yang B, who leads the Demon Worm team, has started dancing. It was a dazzling, colorful, magnificent, and deadly dance of endless intersecting barrages. Rest in peace, Yang B. Countless red and blue light bullets, like swirling stardust, filled every corner of Gold Coast, raining down from the sky. This is the signature barrage of the insect princess Yang B attacking the endless god's domain, which can tear space apart and shatter everything, causing souls to collapse and disintegrate. I will give you a death. At this moment, Lilibet entered a state of trance, as if completely distracted, even the shadow of the azure divine sword appeared faint. Run. Yunshi ran frantically towards the endless barrage, towards his long-lost lover. I won't let you be killed. I will definitely save you. The more deadly the crisis, the more intense the passion burning in Yunshi's heart. I will save you. Tragedy and such things, I will never let them happen. With every step, Yunshi could feel the impact that almost tore apart all the Parfu bodies. With every step, major changes occurred within the faceless god, as some dormant areas began to become active. It seems like something is awakening in Su. On this coast covered with countless soul gold sand, certain memories, certain past events are coming back to Su. The legacy deposited in this gold coastline is becoming active one after another as Yunshi's passionate emotions stir. Every step and every thought of Yunshi is resonating with them. This is a resonance of shared origins, a resonance between souls. They are also Yunshi. To be precise, those who entered this world as wandering souls in the past, then were slain by Lilibet, are part of Yunshi's past. When someone is killed, they will die. When a wandering soul is destroyed by Azure Excalibur, it will turn into ashes, then after being cleansed by the Soul Sea, it will eventually become soul gold sand. However, Yunshi is an exception among exceptions. He was repeatedly drawn to this Soul Sea, then died under Lilibet's sword, but never truly died. Because, Starchild's soul is eternal. Chapter 1367, Yunshi, Lilibet's divine sword only killed fragments of Yunshi in dreams, and within this long gold coastline, numerous astronomical amounts of Yunshi soul fragments fell. After being cleansed by the Soul Sea, these soul fragments effortlessly turned into the highest quality soul gold sand in the entire endless god's domain, and the quantity was extremely substantial. Frankly speaking, in the treasure trove of soul gold sand coveted by countless nightmare sovereigns and ancient gods, the weight of Yunshi soul fragments is substantial. The soul gold sand condensed from Yunshi's soul fragment is everywhere along the gold coastline. Even though this gold coastline is only a projection from the nightmare world and not the real one, the nightmare world has incredible power to connect some of the original power of the gold coastline here. So, this is actually Yunshi's domain, where he steps on the fragments of countless dreaming Yunxis from the past. When Yunshi's emotions peak because of Lilibet, the power in these soul gold sand isolates and focuses entirely on the figure running under the endless barrage. It is the scenery longed for by the dreaming Yunshi who died here, the older self running towards the dream lover. Yunxis under the age of 10, lined up neatly, gazing intently at their future selves. Wow, my future self is so amazing. The shy 11-year-old and 12-year-old Yunxis look at themselves, even though they have become slightly strange, their dreams have come true. Running towards their big sister in their mind, having powerful strength, it's okay to cross-dress too. 13, 14-year-old Yunshi looked at Lilibet in the distance, his face full of gentleness. How similar her figure was to Huahua's. Has the real-world Yunshi also confessed to Huahua? Come on, future me, bravely move forward. 16-year-old Yoon, she looked puzzled and somewhat understanding at the faceless god's appearance. Did he meet her, or is it here, on this coastline? However, this time, he finally had the strength equal to hers. It doesn't matter if he wears women's clothing. Big brother, good luck. Future me, go for it. Don't regret it, march forward bravely. Like a swift wind, face your true feelings. In different times, all the versions of Yoon she gave their final blessings to the running Yoon she, and then merged into the body of the faceless god as points of light. The power of Yoon she's soul began to expand uncontrollably. These were soul fragments that he had dropped along the Gold Coastline in the past, which should have been automatically collected by him when he was 18 years old. After absorbing these soul fragments, Yoon Shi's sensitivity to the whole world instantly increased by 1,000 times, and his thinking speed also increased by 1,000 times. This was not an incremental accumulation like adding quantum computers to the planet with CyberElf Alpha, but a leap in multiples. With each past soul fragment absorbed, Yoon Shi's consciousness expanded a bit. In his mind, everything about his body became clearer. The incomplete Starchild progression inheritance, specifically split, allowing Lilibet to kill the fallen soul fragments. Normally, only when he was 18 years old would he enter here in a complete soul state, then pick up all the soul fragments to restore all of Starchild's memories. However, there was an unspeakable great crisis in this, a fate that even the great will of the stars could not intervene in. Carrying the fate of Starchild, inheriting the amazing power of Starchild will also bring an equal burden. The memories of Starchild are too heavy. They are memories woven from the traces of countless stars since the existence of the cosmos. Its weight is so light, only a strand of light, too heavy for even the Creator to bear. It is vast, containing the wisdom and rules of past, present, and future starry trajectories. Once all these soul fragments are accepted, endless wisdom will be gained, while one's soul will become incredibly complex and fragile. Like the most beautiful and amazing work of art in the world condensed by the stars, but a slight touch could make it shatter. This is the characteristic of Starchild. Even impermanence fate does not allow for the existence of this absolutely perfect miracle in Starchild's balanced state. The complete form of Starchild is a very mysterious and difficult to observe existence, not bound by prophecies, able to observe the changes of the stars from a completely independent perspective. Neither light nor darkness, but a color that lies ambiguously between the two. Can be the demon king dominating countless creatures, or can sing lullabies under the angel's tree to lead away pure angels. Translated by Gravity Tales? Whichever one, they are all true and false, and they are all lies. Because of this unpredictability and mystery, even the highest existence of creator rank is elusive, full of unknown possibilities, and Starchild becomes special in their eyes. Curiosity, or whatever else, for a creation existence close to all-knowing and all-powerful, the symbol of the mysterious and unknowable side of the stars, Starchild is so charming. Well, the future can be written as a story called Me and 4 Ex-Girlfriends of Creator-Level Dating Together and Unfortunately Capsizing. Starchild fully awakened at the age of 18 will possess a much stronger soul power than Yoon Shi at 16 when he was incompletely awakened, but will also bear the burden of the weight of unbearable years of life. The more soul fragments absorbed, the more stars favor one will receive, and the greater the possibility of being discovered by the 4 ex-girlfriends. If it's not absolutely necessary, don't go to Gold Coast to retrieve your soul fragments in your true form. At least have the strength to escape in front of all the scary ex-girlfriends before reclaiming those voluntarily abandoned soul fragments. Ah, so that's how it is. Maya woke me up early for a reason. Once again, Yoon Shi felt immense pressure from his 4 ex-girlfriends, especially from his previous girlfriend, Starchild. It turns out, he always dreamt of the Gold Coastline, and there was a reason why he ended up dying at the hands of Lilibet. This repetitive self-destructive behavior was a way to evade his 4 ex-girlfriends' search efforts. By actively weakening himself, he aimed to conceal his identity better. The complete Starchild soul was too tempting for the creator rank beings, making them too enamored. Consequently, the previous generation of Starchild even sacrificed part of their own soul essence, offering these enticing large soul fragments to their 4 ex-girlfriends. It's like a sea cucumber with strong survival instincts, discarding part of its internal organs to escape from enemies. Chapter 1368. Fighting for you. The red and blue energy beams falling from the sky of the Gold Coast line exceeded a frequency of 1 billion times per second, truly a lightspeed attack. The shiny light bullets looked magnificent, and once they hit the enemy, they would unleash their destructive power hidden within them. In front of a barrage that fires over 1 billion times, no matter what kind of enemy it is, they cannot avoid it. It's a map attack with no blind spots. Moreover, among them are tracking beams released by the Taurus-type demon worm and scarab-shaped demon worm. As Knight-type demon worm auxiliary magic worm, they have already exceeded their race's limits. The wandering souls on the ground, even the elite souls with special abilities, were shattered the moment the barrage descended. Translated by Gravity Tales. The Great Rebirth bullet screen of Insect Princess Young Bee directly cleared the map with overwhelming force. The huge barrage sea eventually swept toward Guardian Lilibet on the Gold Coastline and the faceless god running madly. Faced with this endless barrage sea, the fearless faceless god rushed forward and finally, at the moment the barrage fell, used their body to protect Lilibet, who inexplicably fell into a stiff state. Countless red and blue light spots fell on the faceless god, instantly piercing through the defense of the faceless god's divine body, damaging the internal Parfu organs and Yunshi. This barrage has a defense-ignoring effect, causing huge damage not only to the body but also to the soul. If the faceless god had not absorbed a large number of soul fragments from the Gold Coastline while running, Yunshi would have been wiped out in the first second of encountering the Great Rebirth bullet screen. Yunshi stretched out his hands to protect Lilibet behind him. The pain of his soul being torn apart was more intense and unbearable than the physical pain. Seeing this scene, the great witch Flora below the stage was stunned. This foolish insect princess. I wanted you to hit Lilibet, not the elder. Unfortunately, Flora could not control the split body of Insect Princess, nor could she stop the barrage of Insect Princess Young Bee. The incomplete split body of Insect Princess is also a part of Insect Princess and cannot be mentally controlled. Flora threw this split body of Insect Princess Young Bee into the battlefield specifically to deal with the Guardian Lilibet of the Gold Coastline. Insect Princess automatically targets the strongest in the opposing camp and then launches a devastating barrage, which is common knowledge known to Flora. The faceless god rushing up to protect Lilibet exceeded Flora's expectations. Clearly, Senior Ming is not the primary target locked by Insect Princess, at most just enduring a small part of the aftermath of the bullet curtain. Oh no, this is bad. Lilibet. For the first time, Yunshi shouted out the name of his first love. This time, I will protect you. The figure he admired in his youth, always lofty and unapproachable, the dream lover he couldn't even talk to. This time, he finally had the power to protect her, to face the opponent he once couldn't defeat. A large number of soul fragments were absorbed into the inner being of the faceless god, neutralizing the most dreadful mental tearing of Insect Princess Young Bee's bullet curtain, and something was accelerating the recovery of Su. This was, field, something that Yunshi would only come into contact with when he turned 18, a true power belonging to Starchild. Now, at only 16, he was using this power too early, something not meant for him in his current stage. However, Yunshi couldn't worry about that much anymore. It's okay to use up your future ahead of time. Let go, this is my own strength. Well then, it's yours. Hopefully, this time I won't regret it. Make sure not to let them catch you. In the haze, there seemed to be a figure in white smiling slightly at Yunshi. I understand. This time, it's an exception. I want something that can deal with Insect Princess. Yunshi looked to his past self and also his future self for answers. Actually, you already have that power, you just need to enhance it. It's your sword. Future Yunshi drew a circle, a path that only he understood. I see, that's how it is indeed. With my current self, I should be able to use it, thank you. Yunshi understood the direction pointed out by his future self, a move created by his past self and now capable of using it after receiving the future soul fragment. Like a fate track in the dark, This is the only way to defeat the insect princess in front of them. Use the secret sword against the barrage. In the trial of the White Lotus secret treasure, the sword technique he learned by himself and comprehended was one of the symbols of the Star Wings Knights demonstrated in the future by White Lotus secret treasure. Its name is Gigabit Wings. Borrow this sword from Lilibet. Grabbing Lilibet's hand, Yunshi picked up the mysterious pale blue divine sword. Things change, special events. You do not know, but he is everywhere. May this moment be eternal. Following the order he had comprehended in the past, although it was not a third-tier or fourth-tier crystal bee in front of him, but a starry sky demon worm from outside the endless god's domain, the terrifying split body of the insect princess, Yunshi still lifted his pale blue divine sword in his hand firmly. It seems like the insect princess young bee in the sky felt threatened by the release of the sky blue divine sword, so she played a more splendid death bullet curtain. Great Nirvana, Dance of Paradise. This is the chapter that announces the opponent's death, also the bullet screen etiquette played by the insect princess. Never give up hope, no matter when. No matter who the opponent is, never avoid your own fears. Activate solid body. Activate soft body. By standing on the ground, I am the lord of the mountains, and no one can defeat me. With a sword in hand, one can control everything for oneself, being like water that is good and does not contend. Softness and strength combine to reveal the endless cycle of truth. A light blue ring appeared in front of Yunshi, enveloping him and Lilibet, who was temporarily frozen. Gigabit Wings, first stage, activate. Countless red and blue light spots were continuously absorbed by this ring. Its capacity was hundreds, thousands of times that of the Crystal Bee Valley from before. If it wasn't for the special field of gold coastline, and if the faceless god-divine vessel itself didn't have the power to contain thousands, even Yunshi wouldn't be able to withstand this wave of deadly bullet rain when using this move. After absorbing endless red and blue light spots, as well as sporadic tracking beam attacks, the place where Yunshi stood became like the core of a star domain, with countless red and blue light point forming a star belt in the surrounding rings. Chapter 1369, The Legend Rank of Gigabit Wings against the Bullet Rain Technique. Gigabit Wings, the Legend Rank Edition. This is not a move that current Yunshi can control, it can only be used in the Gold Coastline with the immense power of the soul, belonging to the Legend Rank Divine Sword skill. Every time Yunshi absorbs some red and blue light spots, a part of his soul's balance is disrupted, with countless chaotic memories and knowledge constantly rushing through, things that Yunshi cannot touch right now. Just like how mortals who gaze directly into the abyss of the old gods will inevitably go insane, Yunshi, who has not reached the legendary rank yet, cannot absorb these fragments. However, if used only as an amplifier, as long as one can bear the pain akin to splitting oneself apart, it can work. After the Ring of Swords absorbed countless barrage light spots, Yunshi finally drew his sword. From soft to strong, thousands of billions imply infinity. The stronger the enemy, the stronger the counterattack. An eye for an eye. A tooth for a tooth. Since we can't avoid it, let's just absorb it all and send it back. After swallowing millions of barrage shots, the whole circle turned dark blue for a moment, and the counterattack began. Specialized in barrage attacks, sword-style Gigabit Wings enters its second stage, full barrage return. The barrage released by Insect Princess Young Bee is so powerful that the reflected barrage is equally fierce. By absorbing and storing the opponent's barrage all at once, then returning it completely, it's like amplifying the overwhelming the Great Rebirth bullet screen several times over. The stronger the opponent's attack, the stronger the counterattack of Gigabit Wings in its second stage. Barrage against barrage. Enough mindless, yet outrageous. The first to suffer were the two auxiliary magic worms dancing around the night-type demon worm, which could release shields and fire tracking beams. The first one was destroyed by Gigabit Wings barrage. The number of 1,000 gigabytes symbolizes infinity. At this moment, behind Yunshi, pairs of wings unfolded, then turned into illusions and disappeared. Like a dream, like a fantasy, like a bubble, like a shadow, like dew, like lightning. By pushing Yunshi's imagination to the limit, combined with the soul strength that only an 18-year-old Yunshi possesses, The still-budding Gigabit wings unleashed the true power of the divine sword skill. This is completely Yun Shi's own divine sword skill, a sword technique imagined from the different powers he possesses, including those of the Yun High Prime Sword, the Sky Flying Sword, and the Star Wings. Translated by Gravity Tales. The future of Yun Shi, the Sky Sword, the path of the divine sword. Inspired by the barrage attacks of the Zerg tribe, this divine sword skill is filled with splendid and gorgeous colors, with countless wings folding behind Yun Shi as he wields it. Each time the wings unfold, it symbolizes a cycle of life and death. Amidst endless cycles, absorbing all of the opponent's barrage attacks to convert them into his own strength. Like how a butterfly flapping its wings can create a big storm far away, Gigabit Wings was born from Yun Shi's extraordinary ideas, playing the most beautiful music at this moment. Like endless shooting stars swirling, the barrage, firing over 1 billion shots per second, took over the entire sky above Gold Coast. The protective shield unfolded by the 2 auxiliary magic worms of the legend rank didn't last a second before falling apart. The pair of auxiliary magic worms surrounding the Night-type demon worm's main body also shattered as they were overwhelmed. Transformed into a sleek red Night-type demon worm, it was instantly riddled with holes, about to meet the same fate as the 2 auxiliary magic worms. Inside the Night-type demon worm, the insect princess began to glow, the tiny main body, the size of a pinky finger, becoming the only golden spot amidst the red and blue barrage. Then, the performance began. Faced with more than 10 times the barrage attacks in return, the insect princess Young Bee, with just a tiny dot as its main body, started to dance. Releasing the Great Rebirth bullet screen, with only 1/10 of the force of the returning barrage, it danced among the countless red and blue dots. Countless times, the deadly red and blue light bullets pierced through the Night-type demon worm's shell, but always narrowly missed colliding with the tiny insect princess Young Bee. It was a dance belonging to the insect princess, an art of weaving through endless barrages of attacks, a unique warfare game between insect princesses. The unavoidable saturation barrage for humans, seemingly seamless barrage bombardment, was not flawless for the tiny finger-sized insect princess Young Bee. Every move, every brush with the bullets, went through countless calculations, combined with innate combat intuition. The shell of the Night-type demon worm was pierced countless times, but also repaired numerous times, and even the insect princess successfully brushing past occasionally had the strength to revive 2 auxiliary magic worms, briefly sustaining a shield for about a second. The dance of bullets, this was the art of the insect princess, walking countless times on the edge of a cliff, but always managing to turn danger into safety at the last moment. Even though Yun Shi's wildly intensified barrage attack with a normal Great Rebirth bullet screen 10 times stronger, not even a single light bullet could hit the dodging and brushing insect princess Young Bee. That tiny dot of light, like an eternal candle in the darkness, always managed to persist. After the tenfold fully returned barrage, insect princess Young Bee even controlled the Night-type demon worm and the revived auxiliary magic worm to perform a marvelous figure-8 dance in the sky above Gold Coast. This means that insect princess Young Bee is very happy. Excited insect princess Young Bee split up, without thinking, spun around again, danced, and the golden patterns on the red Night-type demon worm's shell became even clearer. Great dance of death barrage, second shot, begin. Compared to the barrage in the first round just now, the barrage in the second round is denser, with all barrages centered on the location of Lilibet and the Faceless God. The 2 auxiliary magic worms, which usually release tracking fire spells randomly, gathered together and generated a huge light column of over tens of meters in one breath, concentrating all the energy in this locked light column targeting the Faceless God. Under the control of insect princess Young Bee, the Night-type demon worm kept spinning and shooting out billions of light bullets. This is a challenge, but also an invitation. Insect princess Young Bee's barrage etiquette. Things are changing. Loading. Divine sword skill, Gigabit wings. The ice blue divine sword in Yun Shi's hand shines brightly, rivaling the lifelike colors of insect princess Young Bee. Ancient and mysterious writings appear on the compass on the sword. Let's fight if you dare. There's nothing to be afraid of. Even if Yun Shi has to go against the whole world now, he has no regrets. Facing the columns of light and light bullets flying all around, the principle of absolute inclusivity in the form of a circle emerges once again. You have bullets, I have sword skills. Insect Princess Young Bee's Great Rebirth bullet screen faces off against Yunshi's divine sword skill Gigabit wings. Round 2, begin. Chapter 1370. Bullet screen etiquette. Compared to the Crystal Bee army they encountered in Crystal Creek Valley last time, the barrage released by the true Insect Princess Young Bee controlling the seatworm was faster, fiercer, and crazier. This is an attack that even the legendary spirits do not want to face, coming from the unique art form of the insect princesses. It is a deadly dance, as well as a magnificent show of skill. Faced with this barrage attack that is fatal upon impact and disastrous upon contact for those below the legend rank, Yunshi, who is also controlled by the faceless god, unleashed his divine sword skill, which belongs to his future self. The icy blue sword aura transformed into a ring and once again began to absorb the barrage attacks that came like a raging storm. The barrages that fell this time had more variations compared to the first round. They layered upon each other, like a sequence of dragon scales. They spun and intersected, resembling a chaotic dance of barrages that seemed to have no rules. Splitting, refracting, interlocking like a chain, creating a triangular barrage. The curious insect princess Young Bee, amazed by Yunshi's Gigabit wings, danced with all her remaining life, creating the most stunning and colorful barrage that Yunshi had ever seen. The auxiliary magic worm, which kept dying and coming back to life thanks to the night-type demon worm, shot out continuous beams of light, striking the cold blue hue. It looked like the ring that kept absorbing barrage attacks was about to burst completely. The Azure Order Divine Sword gleamed proudly in Yunshi's hand, absorbing and storing all the barrage attacks without leaving a single one. The icy blue ring remained steady, even when hit by over billions of barrage attacks. However, absorbing billions of barrage attacks put immense pressure on both the faceless god and Yunshi. Even the legendary soft body, faced with the barrage attacks that tore space and souls from the insect princess, faced a deadly breaking point. Perhaps only the defensive capabilities of the soft body could not withstand the second round of the Great Dance of Death. The key lay in Yunshi picking up and absorbing a large amount of soul fragments. At this moment, Yunshi was not fighting alone. From a distant time and space, from the gold coastline where he once met Lilibet and turned into soul gold sand, one by one, different versions of Yunshi were helping the present Yunshi. They are Yunshi's past, fragments sleeping in the gold coastline, eternal and indestructible soul gravel. With their help, Yunshi was able to elevate his soul strength to the legend rank, truly matching the faceless god as a divine vessel. The faceless god, originally prepared only for the legend rank, can only unleash its true power once the legend rank is reached. The faceless god as a divine vessel. The unique environment of the gold coastline. Along with Yunshi's exclusive divine sword skill, Gigabit wings for his barrage, this moment of miracle was achieved. After being bombarded for 10 seconds by the endless barrage of the divided body of the insect princess Young Bee in the sky, Yunshi's ring of bullets finally reached its peak. Like a powerful volcano erupting, releasing the Earth's hidden forces instantly, causing a catastrophic disaster. Pair after pair of wings unfolded behind Yunshi, shimmering and beautiful. Soft body changed instantly into a hard body, reflecting back every bit of the barrage absorbed by the Azure Excalibur sword barrier, leaving nothing behind. Tenfold return. A red night-type demon worm soared into the higher sky, displaying a dazzling display of high-speed maneuvers, its shields constantly shattering and then swiftly regenerating. Clearly, after absorbing the first counterattack from the Gigabit wings, the insect princess Young Bee split body also began to adapt to this counterattack that counters the divine sword skill. In this world, there is no relationship of absolute dominance. Water can be used to put out fires, but when flames reach a certain high temperature, pouring water on them will only cause it to evaporate instantly, and the evaporated oxygen will even fuel the flames. The ultimate power of flames, like the sunfire of the Golden Crow Princess, can even completely ignite an entire planet, evaporating all water and ultimately turning it into a sun. The insect princess is best at using curtain attacks, and nothing pleases her more than a beautiful curtain. Yunshi Gigabit Wings Tenfold Full Barrage Return is a challenge and an invitation for the insect princess young bee body. A clash between curtains. A comparison between splendor and splendor. Even if the real insect princess young bee is here, she would definitely react the same. Faced with the tenfold barrage return, one must perform the most splendid dance and release the most brilliant barrage in response to the opponent. Between insect princesses, rankings are determined in this way. Barrage showdowns are how insect princesses solve disputes and divide their territories, an elegant yet dangerous ladylike etiquette. Translated by Gravity Tales. This defective body part of insect princess young bee had never dreamed that in her short life, she would have the opportunity for a barrage showdown, and that it would be the overwhelming tenfold barrage return unleashed by Yunshi Gigabit Wings that would drive all insect princesses crazy. Just this amazing ability to return, Yunshi has caught the attention of all insect princesses, which can determine the outcome of the divine sword skill showdown between the insect princesses. Fighting against Yunshi at this moment, the separated insect princess young bee couldn't help responding to Yunshi, even knowing that she would definitely lose in this bullet screen battle, like a moth drawn to a flame. The density of tenfold bullet screens is not just for show, but a deadly barrage of death. The Great Rebirth bullet screen released by insect princess young bee before was magnificent, but now the deadly bullet screens returned by childhood friend are forcing insect princess Crimson Bee to use the unique skill of the insect princess, close dodging. Moving up and down, left and right in centimeters, insect princess young bee dances on the edge of the blade, contorting her tiny body, facing the baptism of tenfold returned bullet screens. The unlucky auxiliary magic worms are repeatedly blasted to pieces by the bullet screens. The Night-type demon worm hosting insect princess young bee is riddled with holes countless times. However, the separated insect princess young bee is very happy. Perhaps this is the happiest time in her short life. Being a defective product among the insect princesses, she is usually sent to less important battlefields to face unnecessary enemies. Winning doesn't really mean anything. Lost, but not a big deal. It's a disposable item that can only survive for a few days. Chapter 1371. The final dance. Considering that the incomplete body can only survive for a few days, it doesn't hold much meaning even for the powerful insect colony. In insect princess young bee's strategy, this incomplete body is considered the least useful. On the battlefield where the entire sky is the chessboard, the enemies encountered by the incomplete bodies are all weak and vulnerable. Important tasks are never given to incomplete bodies with only a few days to live. At this moment, the insect princess incomplete body flying on the Gold Coastline is the weakest and most inherently deficient among all the incomplete bodies created by insect princess young bee. Poor commanding abilities, mediocre barrage release abilities, even if sent to the battlefield, it wouldn't have much impact. The only somewhat decent barrage specialty consumes extra life force when used to its full extent. Too many flaws, the most crucial being a lifespan of only 3 short days, not even reaching the minimum consumption line for a week. Therefore, Flora was able to acquire this poorest quality incomplete body in the forbidden goods trade, which was a very profitable deal for insect princess young bee. With only 3 days to live, the incomplete body's specialty is not commanding but barrages. It lacks strategic value and is not even qualified as expendable material. The moment she opened her eyes as an incomplete body, she knew her fate. Even the cicadas underground can happily chirp all summer after transforming from pupae, but as the great insect princess young bee, she only has a lifespan of 3 days. This is only if she doesn't engage in large-scale battles or unleash the power of her barrages. Releasing powerful barrages like the Great Dance of Death will accelerate her already short lifespan, almost like a suicidal skill. Despite this, she is proud of having this ability. This ability, shared by her as a divided being and the great insect princess, is a symbol of pride for the Zerg tribe. With a lifespan of only 3 days, it means she is completely defective. For her, a magnificent barrage attack is her proudest strength as an imperfect reject. Sent to the battlefield by the Great Witch Flora, she doesn't care about who the enemy is, she just follows her instincts and displays the only proof belonging to the insect princess. Dancing, twirling, covering the world with a barrage of red and blue, it is the art of the insect princess, proof that she is alive. She enjoyed such happy times, just like a cicada with a short lifespan of only one summer, writing her life's melody with her dance. Then, she encountered a pleasant surprise. The unbelievable enemy who could withstand the Great Rebirth bullet screen and return the dance of the Great Rebirth bullet screen tenfold. In her short 3-day life, she met opponents like miracles, enemies who could perform Danmaku rituals with her. This is amazing, she thought, dancing in the Danmaku returned tenfold, feeling her heartbeat and the soul-shaking sense of danger. Every graze was a dance on the edge of life and death. Every slight dodge was a close encounter with the Grim Reaper. Not adept at defense, once hit by one of the Danmaku, she would face a certain death. As long as there was one misjudgment in her movement path, one misstep, there would be no room for regret. 10 times the great dance of death, with her fragile body and the seat worm only modified by an immature night-type demon worm, she doesn't even have the qualification to make a mistake once. But the more dangerous it got, the more excited she became dancing in the barrage of death. This is the stage belonging to the insect princess. Being a defective product, she had no right to set foot on the stage in the first place. How could a mere 3-day lifespan defective product like her have the chance to engage in a barrage battle with the insect princess? Apart from the legendary barrage power, she was a complete mess in every other aspect, not even worthy to face opponents of this level. Even the real insect princess Young Bee would anticipate the clash of barrages, a ritual belonging to the great insect princesses. Translated by Gravity Tales? In her flawed memory, when insect princesses from different star domains meet, they always greet each other with their unique barrages. The Great Dance of Death mastered by insect princess Young Bee is one of the most beautiful and stunning barrage poses in the Zerg tribe. And at this moment, she faced a tenfold Great Dance of Death, a magnificent melody that made her feel the breath of death time and time again. Very good, let's dance. Let me see if you have even more magnificent and dazzling Danmaku rituals. Even if you kill me, I have no regrets. Dying in such Danmaku is my most satisfactory way to die. So, let the Danmaku come more fiercely. The second round of Danmaku baptism ended, and the night-type demon worm, which was already riddled with holes, no longer retained its original elegant streamlined appearance. It looked as if it had been stepped on countless times by a naughty child, and then all the cotton inside had been pulled out like a puppet. The 2 O'Leary magic worms, which had been shattered dozens of times by the Danmaku, no longer retained their original forms. The long tentacle of the Taurus-type demon worm stretched from its head to its back. The scarab-shaped demon worm had a beautiful golden shell that looked as ugly as a frost-bitten eggplant. Despite this, they continued to live, compelled by the life force of insect princess Young Bee to keep fighting in a way that was worse than death. Without complaint, the commands of the insect princess were absolute, even for a part of the body that could only survive for 3 days and was deemed defective by the true insect princess. Dying for the insect princess was the highest honor for all demon worms. In the core of the red night-type demon worm, a flash of golden light shimmered brightly. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The graceful insect princess Young Bee, in her crystal bee form, danced a beautiful 8-shaped dance, releasing pheromones that only the Zerg tribe could understand towards her enemies. The meaning is probably, keep dancing with me. Let me see more, prettier things. Without giving any breathing space to the faceless god, Yun-Shi, or herself, the 8-shaped dance cut through. The red night-type demon worm's twisted shell once again revealed red and blue dots, shining like a starry sky. The deformed pair of auxiliary magic worms, this time split apart, casting out expanding, bulging S-shaped beams of light. The Great Rebirth bullet screen movement belonging to insect princess Young Bee entered a more splendid and crazier chapter. Burning life. Squandering what little life remained. Only to create the most brilliant and dazzling bullet screens. This is her final movement, the most beautiful scenery she created in her short life. Chapter 1372, The happy chirping of insects. Insect Princess Young Bee, who split herself at the cost of her life to perform a dance, Yunxi saw it clearly and felt it too. Yunxi, who is in a state of using up his future, is much more sensitive to the power of souls than he used to be. Even without looking with his eyes, he could sense that Lilibet behind him was in some kind of offline state, her soul's traces almost disappearing without a trace, which is why he could decisively pull out the azure Excalibur from her hand to use. Conversely, the soul flame of the split insect Princess Young Bee on the opposite side was burning abnormally. The seemingly powerful bullet screen attacks contain the essence of insect Princess Young Bee's life, as she ignites her own life and soul to release stronger and more magnificent bullet screens. In this aspect, Yunxi is actually the same. The Gigabit wings at the legend rank does not belong to his divine sword skill at this stage. It is the strength achieved when his soul reaches the true legend rank, which he will only achieve after picking up all his soul fragments on his 18th birthday when he enters the Gold Coast line. Right now, he is completely using up his future strength by forcefully pushing the Gigabit wings in a way that is beyond his current power level. The Great Dance of Death by the Insect Princess is the final chapter of her life song. Yunxi's Gigabit wings, however, is consuming his future potential. However, regardless of which side it is, both willingly pay the price. No one is right or wrong, this is a life-and-death battle for both sides. Insect Princess Young Bee's split self is about to end her short life with the most brilliant barrage and the most magnificent stance. This is her, as the split self of the Insect Princess, holding a funeral for herself. She won't wait for the natural death of the three heavenly queens but will burn everything in herself in this endless brilliant barrage. Yunxi and the faceless god are willing to protect Lilibet, who entered a stiff state due to an accident, no matter the cost. Both sides have no way out. Sacrifice lives. Give up the future. Although they are enemies fighting each other, Yunxi can feel the message transmitted through Insect Princess Young Bee's dance. Come, dance with me in a more beautiful way. Let the barrage I release with all my strength come back more splendid and fierce. This is the season where barrages intertwine, a grand and magnificent funeral march of Insect Princess. Ignite the flames of life, turning into a barrage landscape swirling with nebulae. Insect Princess Young Bee's fragmented body is yearning for death, craving for a more crazy, more magnificent barrage music. The scale of the barrage attacks and defenses in the third round is larger, more chaotic, and unrestrained than the previous two rounds combined. Two magical light beams in the shape of S from auxiliary magic worms whipped wildly around the expanding ring of azure Excalibur like a giant light whip. Countless stars falling like dense barrage, giving people a chilling and terrifyingly magnificent sight. The more Insect Princess Young Bee burns her own life, the closer she gets to death, the more complex, unpredictable, and irregular her barrages become. Faced with such a massive barrage attack, even other legendary figures would probably lose the courage to fight and simply choose to flee. However, Yunxi did not run away and will not run away. Gigabit Wings was a divine sword skill specifically developed to counter such barrage attacks. In Crystal Creek Valley, when faced with millions of crystal bees, Yunxi intuitively grasped the essence of his divine sword skill, forming an unbreakable bond with the Zerg tribe. Translated by Gravity Tales. Gigabit Wings, a combination of strength and flexibility required to counter barrage attacks, is the result of Yunxi's boundless imagination and creativity. This is his journey with the Sky Sword, completed by stepping on the bodies of countless crystal bees, forging a divine sword. In this way, the future Sky Sword, Yunxi, is the Insect Princess's enemy. Only with sword skills can he confront the Insect Princess's barrage and even break through the endless barrage attacks of the Sky Sword. The sword barrier in a ring shape, just like an indestructible shield, absorbed all the third round of barrage released by Insect Princess, Young Bee. The dark blue ring, like a black hole devouring everything, absorbed all the dancing stars. No matter how many times auxiliary magic worms S-shaped light whip strikes, it cannot shake this seemingly few meters in size dark blue ring. Inside and outside the ring, like two completely different worlds. The concept of dividing the world, accommodating all attacks, is the true principle of soft body and also the embodiment of the battle god genre concept. Only Yunshi's immensely large soul scale can withstand the tearing and destruction of the endless barrage, absorbing all the barrage power that originally belonged to the insect princess. When the accumulated power reaches the critical point of 10 times, the absorbed barrage power suddenly boils. Like a major earthquake before a tectonic plate shift, the ring sword barrier collapses, fractures, and then the endless barrage light points flow out from the small ring. Many pairs of wings appeared and disappeared behind the faceless god. It was the sight of Gigabit wings, the shadows of Yunshi's endless wings. At that moment, the power of the rigid body erupted, returning the absorbed barrage tenfold to the opponent in the most fierce and vicious way. The great dance of death released by Insect Princess Young Bee at the cost of burning life was so magnificent, so crazy, with all the barrages returned by Gigabit wings multiplied tenfold. Hiss. 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 Insect Princess Young Bee divided body dancing in the highest sky of Gold Coast emitted a strange and joyful buzzing sound. This time, there was no escape. Even the most skillful grazing techniques were useless, because this was a tenfold baptism of the great dance of death barrages that not even the real Young Bee could unleash. Only a part of her, Young Bee, had reached her limit after releasing the final barrage. It was at the legendary rank where attacks could hit double digits, and just one round of attacks made them understand the deathly symphony of barrages. This time, there was no need for dodging or grazing skills. Even the small Young Bee, the size of a pinky finger, gave up the idea of dancing through the barrages. Perhaps the true Insect Princess Young Bee could do it, as the great Insect Princess could keep shrinking her hitbox, showcasing more elegant grazing techniques. She did not have that ability, being a defective product. Releasing the most great dance of death barrages was already her limit, burning her own life in the process. This limit was probably just the normal level for the real Insect Princess Young Bee, as the body used for commanding battles wouldn't have the power to match the true Insect Princess. But she was content. At this moment, she was singing the final happy chirp of her fleeting life. It was the imperfect and incomplete Insect Princess offering blessings to this beautiful world. Chapter 1373, The Death of Insect Princess Hiss. The demon worms, who found their insect princess almost giving up resistance, let out sorrowful cries. 2 auxiliary magic worms desperately gathered in front of the Insect Princess Young Bee's separated body, preparing to make the only resistance with their last bit of strength. The Red Knight demon worm, which had been blown into pieces countless times and forcibly repaired by the Insect Princess Young Bee's separated body countless times, twisted its originally elegant streamlined body into a heavy shield-like shape. All of this, of course, was in vain. Facing the great rebirth bullet screen from hell that returned tenfold, they probably couldn't even hold on for a second. Even so, they didn't give up the fight. This is the demon worm of the Zerg tribe, willingly giving everything for the Insect Princess. Ah, you haven't given up yet. Yeah, it's not over yet. Hearing the final cries of her subordinates, Insect Princess Young Bee, who had long been prepared to die, elegantly turned her attention to the incoming endless barrage. Then, let's fly while we still can. Let's fly together to the end of life. Offering the most magnificent dance to the strongest opponent. In the name of the great Young Bee, let's dance. Hiss. In response to Insect Princess's split body, came the spirited chirping of the demon worm squadron. Leading her remaining subordinates, Insect Princess Young Bee's split body bravely charged towards the tenfold great rebirth bullet screen hell. Using the utmost skill, she narrowly dodged the initial round of overlapping bullets, breaking through the shields of the 2 auxiliary magic worms first. The density of the tenfold barrage instantly wiped out the auxiliary magic worms protecting Insect Princess, draining her split body of a significant amount of life force, leaving her unable to revive them. The pair of helpful magic worms had completed their important mission in history, accompanying Insect Princess Young Bee in battle until the very end. Next, the seat worm and the night-type demon worm, who released barrages, were shattered into pieces by the attack, even though they briefly turned into shield shapes to try and defend for a second. The tenfold power of the barrage attack was unstoppable. Only the core part remained intact, barely protecting the vulnerable main body of Insect Princess Young Bee. Thank you, goodbye. Insect Princess Young Bee bid farewell to the demon worm squad that was initially loyal to her but now in pieces. She carried the remnants and ventured into the endless barrage hell. It was impossible to dodge everything. As she darted halfway through, the tiny insect princess created a series of golden sparks with the red and blue barrages. With the power to tear everything apart, Yunshi's barrage, 10 times stronger, pierced through Insect Princess Young Bee's body, enveloping her in an inescapable and intense barrage, playing the final requiem for the insect princess. A momentary pause, then eternity. The sudden burst of golden light was the spark of death, completely disintegrating Insect Princess Young Bee into a fireworks of destruction. The world's final trace of this imperfect Insect Princess Young Bee. The golden fireworks turned into a dazzling stream of light, transforming into a crystal bee that was transparent and glowing. Because it was no longer dangerous and was not being attacked by bullets, it finally flew through all the bullets and arrived in front of the faceless god. All the physical bodies of Insect Princess Young Bee had been destroyed by the Great Rebirth bullet screen, and what arrived in front of the faceless god was the last radiant soul of this insect princess. With curiosity, the insect princess gazed at the faceless god whose last radiant soul was fading away, then spread her wings and flew into the god's eyes. She saw the true face of the faceless god. Perhaps due to the unique environment of Gold Coast or the extraordinary spiritual power of Insect Princess, she finally discovered Yunshi. Yunshi, her opponent in the bullet battle, was the one who fulfilled her wish by returning all her bullets and satisfying her dying wish. Instead of living a plain life for 3 more days, she chose to burn everything and die dramatically. Yunshi fulfilled her wish by burying her with the most magnificent bullet screen. Now appearing inside the faceless god, in front of the tired Yunshi, it was not the living insect princess Young Bee anymore, but a soulful glow resembling lingering memories. So that's it, you are like this. A tiny crystal bee shadow danced in front of Yunshi, forming a mysterious figure 8. Thank you. I will give you my final gift. In memory of your outstanding, lovely Danmaku skills, I'll leave it to you from now on. Although it was only the final glow of her soul, Insect Princess Young Bee's entity felt more content than ever before. Torn apart by billions of Danmaku, her body completely destroyed, now even the last glow of her soul will fade away. Yet, she felt no regret towards her own life, her final battle. Despite only having 3 days to live, she got everything she wanted in this battle. A formidable opponent that required her full devotion. Trying your very best, not afraid to sacrifice on the battlefield of life. Translated by Gravity Tales. More magnificent than even the other complete insect princess companions, a dazzling barrage 10 times brighter. Her life was perfect and happy enough. Like a cicada singing loudly in the summer, it would end its own life when summer ends. The short-lived summer cicada song often takes several years underground in darkness to transform into a pupa, waiting for a summer day to fly out from underground and sing loudly. The moment Lilibet fought the faceless god was the meaning of her life. Yunshi's Gigabit wings fulfilled her most extravagant fantasies. She was a part of the great insect princess Young Bee, her only specialty inheriting the barrage power from the main insect princess, using it on the battlefield to destroy everything, the power to ruin everything. For her, the barrage was the meaning of life, the reason for her existence. As long as she doesn't unleash the power of the barrage, she could live for 3 more days, but what meaning would those 3 days hold? How can those boring 3 days compare to the battle of burning life? We don't want a world without barrages. The final golden light scattered, and an insect egg fell into Yunshi's palm. That was the parting gift left by the insect princess Young Bee's separated body, a transparent insect egg containing the essence of the Great Rebirth bullet screen landscape, also known as the separated body of the insect princess Young Bee's separated body. This was the insignificant last gift from the defective body of the Young Bee's separated body. As she herself was a defective product, the life force left behind could only produce a very weak individual in the form of the insect egg. It's probably equivalent to the strength of a human hero. Chapter 1374, The Last Gift. Take it. Placing her separated body, which could only muster a little strength, into Yunshi's hands, the insect princess Young Bee's separated body turned into countless specks of light and vanished before Yunshi. What is this? Yunshi looked puzzled at the tiny transparent insect egg in his hand. If we say the finger-sized insect princess clone is miniature, then the body curled up and sleeping inside this egg, holding the miniature clone of insect princess, is even smaller. Most people may need a magnifying glass to see the body details clearly. Parfu? The curiosity of the real Parfu within the dragon jade reached out an emerald green tentacle, carefully enveloping the tiny egg. The tiny insect princess clone inside the egg seemed to have no resistance at all, and fell into the clutches of the great demon king Parfu. After all the bullets disappeared, the 12 nightmare sovereigns in the void began applauding, including nightmare sovereign Godora, who had sold 3 demon worm lost souls. Wonderful, it's truly wonderful. I've heard of the insect princess's bullet attacks for a long time, but this is the first time I've seen it. If I encountered this thing, I'd run as far as I could. Can a person evade this kind of thing? That insect princess clone really evaded 2.5 rounds, impressive. The prince is truly frightening. What kind of sword technique is that, able to reflect all of insect princess's projectiles back? Translated by Gravity Tales? Did you notice that the prince actually pulled out Lilibet's divine sword? Can a sword like that be used so easily by someone else? I suddenly feel like something is not right. Under the stage, Great Witch Flora gritted her teeth while watching the faceless god standing in front of Lilibet, who had placed down the azure divine sword. Senior, you are too kind. Why protect Lilibet? Wouldn't it be better to let her be riddled with bullets from insect princess's projectiles? I went through a lot of trouble to contact a group of fools I know, making those idiots attack the Sky Tower warehouse area guarded by Lilibet. Isn't this a waste now? On stage, Yunshi, unaware of what was happening, defeated the segmented insect princess Young Bee and received a tiny segmented insect princess as a gift from her. His attention then completely switched to Lilibet. It seems like Lilibet is in a very bad condition. Her figure is gradually becoming thin, as if disappearing from this world. Even though she is right in front, Yunshi can't feel her presence at all. Even when he reaches out to touch her body, it is very cold, just like ice. Why, what has happened to her? All the attacks just now should have been deflected. Yunshi helplessly watches as Lilibet's body becomes colder, instinctively looking around as if searching for something. Right, it's the soul fragment. Here are his past soul fragments, not just from when he was 10, 11, 12 years old until now, but also older and more ancient pieces. These are treasures buried here before he was even born, belonging to the previous generation of Starchild's soul gold sand. This is the truth that Yunshi only discovered after absorbing a large amount of his own soul fragments. It is an inheritance that he was bound to receive when he turned 18. The things he can't do now, he might not have been unable to do in the past. The reason he is able to display the legendary Gigabit wings is partly due to his past guidance. No need to worry. She just went somewhere else. The her here now is just a shadow. A vague white figure from a more distant past soul fragment tells Yunshi this way. Lilibet is not in danger. Knowing this, Yunshi breathed a sigh of relief. Do you like her? Want to connect directly with her? Learn more about her? It seemed like the fuzzy white figure sensed Yunshi's unease and curiously observed him. Even though they are the same person, because the past and present exist in different timelines, and only fragments are visible, they see the world differently. Only in the special world of the Gold Coast Line, the past Starchild can have such a conversation with the present Starchild. Although, one day Yunshi will come here to reclaim all his deliberately lost soul fragments and become whole, but that moment is definitely not now, not this time. Yunshi nodded, admitting to his past self straightforwardly, I want to know more about Lilibet. Who is she, where does she come from, and why does she keep guarding this place? Did she ever like someone in the past? Because it's all oneself, there's no need to hide anything. It's better to say that the past self should know more about Lilibet's situation than the present self. Because this gold coastline and Lilibet, who has always been guarding the sky tower here, seem to have something to do with the past self. The reason he keeps dying here over and over again is also due to past karma. However, he doesn't regret coming here, nor does he regret meeting Lilibet. Liking someone is just that. The strong figure in his eyes has become an unforgettable first love since his youth, or you could say, a dream lover. The powerful Lilibet. Lonely Lilibet all by herself. Lilibet seemed a bit lonely. Yoon she really liked a lot. Lilibet is not human, the past Yoon she spoke, a white figure formed from fragmented memories. It's okay, I don't mind at all. Yoon she didn't have any human superiority complex, having been married to a monster girl and all, Lilibet not being human was no big deal. She who died long ago became a hero of the gods. Recounting Lilibet's past, it was the predecessor of endless gods' domain, the age of legends of the gods. Back when the line between humans and gods was not as clear as it is now, when divine beings often walked the earth, it was the era where various powerful original god weapons were born. A genius swordsman with blood flowing of half human and half god, leaving behind her own adventure stories all over the world. She defeated mighty dragons, broke chains binding divine beings, and dared to challenge all injustices. In the end, these adventures turned into legends, achieving immortal fame. The young girl embarked on the path of the Valkyrie, becoming a divine spirit aiming to protect the world tree. Chapter 1375, Lilibet, Lilibet Divine Spirits, blessed by the World Tree, the most powerful heroes in the Twilight Age of the Gods faction. Even in the Hall of Mythical Heroes in that legendary era, Lilibet was the most dazzling star, chosen by the Sword of Order as a divine sword wielder. In the face of the Zerg tribe, she boldly advanced, never backing down even when facing the Insect Princess and her soul-tearing barrage. Confronting giants, even the ancestor giant towering over 100 meters, she dared to charge forward, slicing off chunks of flesh from the giant's neck. The Azure sword wielder, fearless, always engaged in battle to protect the World Tree, nurturing the origin World Tree that gave birth to the gods. However, even with her remarkable abilities, she could not change the outcome of the Twilight of the Gods. It marked the turning point between the Age of the Gods and the Star Bridge era, a significant event that led to the birth of the Endless Gods domain. Lilibet, who once promised to protect the origin World Tree, lost everything. The main god she had sworn loyalty to, along with the entire godly lineage, fell apart during the Twilight of the Gods, causing the origin World Tree that connected different worlds to collapse as well. No one knows what happened afterwards. When Lilibet reappeared, she had become the guardian of the Sky Tower, the oldest part of the new Sky Sword God's domain called the Sky Sword. She made a promise with someone. That person bestowed upon her a mission. She began to fulfill the new promise, waiting for the eternal return. The past Yoon Shi, when reaching this point, clearly paused, showing a hint of distress, as if there was a problem in all of this. The real Lilibet is not what you see. Even so, would you still like her? Yes, I don't mind what Lilibet looks like or what race she is. Translated by Gravity Tales. I like everything about her. Facing the fragments of his past, Yoon Shi bravely spoke out. Just like Hua Hua grew stronger or his childhood sweetheart, does Lilibet have a past he doesn't know about and is no longer his first love? So make a choice. Accept Lilibet's truth or give up. Once you make a choice, there's no turning back. Lilibet's truth is very special. The ghostly figure of the past Yoon Shi reached out with a faint white silhouette hand, pointing towards Lilibet's fading figure. I'm ready. I've always wanted to say this to Lilibet. If I don't say it, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Yoon Shi's fingertips gradually merged with the past soul fragment. He had a feeling that everything would be different after the so-called direct connection. What does Lilibet, whom he doesn't know, look like? Why did his past self seem somewhat reluctant to truly face Lilibet? All the answers were about to be revealed. Ancient voices echoed along the Gold Coast, telling epic tales written in the language of gods, belonging to the era of Azure Excalibur and its legends. residing within the sword, pure and noble. Through endless forging, destroying and rebuilding, brushing away all confusion and doubt. With only solitude as companion, deep in the soul, sharp in spirit, all is true. The girl is like an elegant budding green tree, pure and flawless, without confusion. Watching over time, understanding love and fear, a heart not yet mature turns into an unwavering brilliance. Tearing through evil with the sword of the heart, cutting off confusion, like the shadows of countless flowers. Witnessing within the sword, magnificent yet lonely. Silent burning, the spirit of life, is a reflection. When the girl Sue wakes, it is the day of eternal return. Yunshi saw the familiar girl, Lilibet, that he knew. The girl had beautiful flawless wings, with pure white feathers untouched by any dust. An angel? No, not quite, she was something even purer and more sacred than an angel. Amidst endless icy blue radiance, a blue divine sword stood at the center of the world. Within the massive compass, lay the girl's body. The girl with white feathered wings had a face full of despair, her body devoid of all vitality. With Yunshi's current soul perception, he was absolutely certain, the girl had long been dead. If it wasn't for the icy sealing power of Azure Excalibur, the girl's body would have disintegrated long ago. Sealed within the compass, was only the girl's shell, belonging to the great divine race. Or rather, the true Azure Excalibur possessed Lilibet's body. Suddenly, a huge silver-blue halo spread out, blasting Yunshi out of the inner world of Azure Excalibur. Ah! Yunshi was startled. Was this the true power of Azure Excalibur that his past self had glimpsed? The real Lilibet, the legendary hero, had long since passed away. So now, who is the guardian of order active in the Sky Sword God's domain? Who is his first love, the majestic wielder of Azure Excalibur? Some truths are perhaps better left unknown. Do you understand now? The fragments of past Yunshi shrugged at the disheartened Yunshi. Wasn't it Lilibet that I loved? Yunshi was indeed deeply shaken, seeing Lilibet's body had felt like the sky falling down on him. It's Lilibet but not Lilibet. The sword protects the owner's body waiting for the owner's return. The divine sword. Lilibet. Oh, Yunshi finally understood what the truth he saw was. What he liked, he always met in his dreams, that beautiful and determined figure, not human, or any intelligent race. Her true form is a sword, a original god weapon born in the twilight age of the gods. The true Azure Excalibur that Lilibet wielded had long died in the twilight war of the gods, no longer existing. But her divine sword remained, and carried on Lilibet's will, keeping the name Lilibet alive. It's like lying to the whole world. Even though Lilibet had died in battle, the divine sword wished for the name Lilibet * Elizabeth to live on forever. Therefore, the magical sword took the place of its original owner and became the new Lilibet. Yunshi's first love, whom he liked, was never a human to begin with, not even a living being. This is the magical sword that has lied to the world for millions of years for a promise, and will continue to do so. The magical sword, Lilibet. Chapter 1376. Like how come Yunshi can wield the rightful owner's Azure Excalibur? The reason is because, currently, the Azure Excalibur doesn't have a true owner, and the past Starchild has a connection with this magical sword, allowing Yunshi to draw it and unleash the legendary Gigabit wings. The Lilibet that Yunshi likes is actually the shadow of the magical sword itself, a seemingly illusionary existence. Chasing Shea Longness out of the Sky Sword God's domain, the Lilibet that has been pursuing her is not the real Lilibet, but merely a part of the magical sword. The real Azure Excalibur Lilibet never really leaves the Sky Tower. When the Abyss God attacks the warehouse area of the Sky Tower, the powerful sword retrieves its power from its split form and returns to the Sky Tower, dealing with the group of reckless Abyss Squid. What remains in front of Yunshi at this moment is just a part of the divine sword, a pursuit-type sword body split to hunt down Shea Longness. Yunshi's first love, who never had a concept of love, making it impossible to confess his feelings to her. Before confessing, Yunshi must first teach this divine sword, which does not understand love, how to express love. No matter how you look at it, This is an incredibly difficult task. This is not just a matter of different races, but Azure Excalibur seems to have someone in his heart already. For Azure Excalibur, Yunshi is definitely not the most important person in the world. Seeing the figure sealed in the world compass, Yunshi understood who is the most important person to Azure Excalibur. Lilibet. Lilibet, the late Azure Excalibur owner, was the girl loved by Azure Excalibur. In the folk song, the heroes who sacrificed in the battle called the Twilight War of the Gods were praised. The chances of true death for gods are very small, but it does not include the gods who died in the Twilight of the Gods battle. The Doomsday battle that led to the destruction of the entire God's Domain world, the predecessor of the Endless God's Domain, was one of the rare events where the entire god system collapsed, with countless fallen gods. The Twilight War involved multiple creator-level beings. Even the Zerg tribe from outside the Endless God's Domain joined the battle, completely changing the landscape of the Endless God's Domain. Lilibet. It's not Lilibet. The Lilibet I like is the Divine Sword. Lilibet. The person the Divine Sword Lilibet likes is Lilibet. For the young man who finally had the chance to confess to his first love, this truth was indeed very cruel. It can be said that this is one of the biggest blows Yunshi has ever experienced in his life. The old self was right, sometimes it's better not to know the truth. Once you know the truth, you can't go back to the past. Goddess Sword Lilibet probably wouldn't mind, she is the Sword of Order, inheriting the will of the past Azure Excalibur to guard the Sky Tower's guardian. A boy who always appears as a wandering soul to her, then gets killed by her again and again. Even if he says those words, Lilibet, who has already loved someone, probably won't have any reaction. She wouldn't even have a response like "you are a good person," maybe just a blink of the eyes without any reaction. Yunshi knows that Lilibet won't like him. It's just wishful thinking to hope that his first love would like him. The problem is, if he doesn't know this shocking truth, he can at least hold on to a little fantasy, a little hope. Even if this confession fails, there will still be chances in the future. He also has another role as the Starry Sky Chess Master, which allows him to openly contact Lilibet. Perhaps, just perhaps, in the future, the relationship with Lilibet will improve, and there might be a chance for something more. For teenagers going through puberty, just having the chance to fantasize can make them happy. Even though in Water God's world he was arranged to marry millions of new brides by star trial, Yunshi still remained the 16-year-old boy in front of his first love, Lilibet. Learning the truth about Lilibet directly was 1,000 times more hurtful than just being told you're a good person. Translated by Gravity Tales. Yunshi was close to tears, sobbing uncontrollably. On the Gold Coast stage, the faceless god's gaze towards Lilibet became particularly uncertain, completely losing the tension that had just made the Great Witch Flora below feel nervous. Did you notice Lilibet was distracted? Yes, she's in a battle with those squids, 3 of them are already taken down. No, I need to lure a few more squids to keep her occupied as long as possible. The Lilibet over there now is just a decoy, the elders must have noticed that. Indeed, love requires bold moves. Lilibet, you have lost. Flora, who masterminded the major event of the Abyssal Evil God's attack on the Sky Tower, was full of pride and confidence, almost writing great victory on her face. How could Lilibet, the naive Sky Sword, be a match for the Great Witch in love? Only those who stop at nothing for love can have the last laugh. Want to compete with me for the seniority? You're a million years too early. Bring another 3 servings of squid, don't let Lilibet come back here. Squids, attack. Keep coming back even if you kill them in endless waves, it doesn't matter. Do you regret it? Do you want to forget this memory? Now, it's okay to not know some things. The past Yunshi looked at his future self in turmoil, shrugged his shoulders, because love led to a great tragedy, a common trait among Starchild through the ages. No. Yunshi shook his head. Some things, once known, cannot be forgotten. Even so, this is his life, the time he has experienced. Perhaps in the future, this time will also turn into fragments buried in the sands of the Gold Coast, but for now, he owns this time, it is his treasure. The Gold Coast line guarded by Lilibet is the treasure trove of Starchild through the ages. If not opened, no one knows what secrets lie inside. I like Lilibet. It's okay even if she's not a person. It's fine even if we're different races. Even if the person she likes isn't me, I don't regret liking her. Is it wrong to like swords? Liking someone is just that, it doesn't matter who they are. I will confess, sob. Even if I cry, even if I know it won't work out, I have to say it at least. Just the feeling of tears streaming down, it's really sad. Chapter 1377, Kabara outside the sky tower, gleaming blue sword lights shone in the sky. Each flashing sword light sent a chilling hissing sound through the sky covered by dark clouds. These eerie sounds came from the inferior evil gods in the depths being torn apart and cut by Azure Excalibur. When mortals hear these evil gods hissing, they lose all reason and sink into a terrifying world of monsters. Occasionally, giant tentacles over 100 meters long dropped from the sky, crashing onto the ground with a loud bang, then gradually turning into ice shards covered with icy blue patterns. Since the battle to protect the Sky Tower began, Azure Excalibur Lilibet, who had quickly shifted her focus from the Red Heart Queen's masquerade, had already slain more than 7 inferior evil gods in battle. However, due to the support of a great witch and opening pathways for the creatures that dwell in the abyss, the multi-legged tentacled creatures kept pouring out and increasing in numbers. Lilibet had killed 7, but the Great Witch released another 10. Without needing any encouragement, the eager inferior evil gods came running upon sensing the aura of the Sky Tower. With a look similar to deep-sea squids, huge and bloated bodies, their eyes alone could inflict mental contamination. As a specialty of the deep abyss, these squid-shaped evil gods have always been insatiable, killing wave after wave. As long as the abyss exists, these distinctly peculiar inferior evil gods are simply impossible to kill. Translated by Gravity Tales. After cutting down 7 clusters of squids, Lilibet had to redirect more power from the pursuers of the Red Heart Queen's masquerade to deal with these troublesome inferior evil gods. In order to pursue Shea Longness, the pursuer-type avatars she split off had more than 60% of the power, while her main body was in the Sky Tower's warehouse area in a dormant state. No one expected that this group of abyss inferior evil gods would suddenly kill over from the leaky area of the Sky Tower, with a growing trend. To accurately capture the coordinates of the Sky Tower's leak and directly target the area where Lilibet's main body is located, is not something an ordinary person can do. At the very least, among this group of squid-shaped lower-class demons, there are definitely no talents like that. Things change, shift. Coordinates temporarily abandoned. By transferring almost all of the power from a distant time and space, Yunshi used the Azure Excalibur he was familiar with to awaken Lilibet as Sue. Standing vertically at an angle that defied gravity on the broken Sky Tower, she gazed coldly at the restless octopus demon group. On the ancient compass, a sequence of text representing the anger of the divine sword emerged. Divine punishment. Activate. Originally initiated during the Red Heart Queen's masquerade's confrontation with the overwhelming barrage from the Insect Princess, the battle mode has now shifted to this battlefield. The icy blue sword light gleamed on the Azure Excalibur, as if freezing all things in time. The enormous emblem spread out, forming a tree with vast branches symbolizing wisdom and life, with each branch representing a different path. This is the tree of origin from which the Azure Excalibur was born, once supporting the glorious world tree of the era of the gods. The orderly Azure Excalibur was the highest honor granted to the divine spirits by the original god weapon born from the tree of origin. Even though the majestic girl who wielded the sword has vanished on the battlefield of the twilight of the gods, Azure Excalibur still preserves her name and legend. She imitated everything she had done in the past. Protect order. Guard important things. Keep promises. Fight for justice. She refused to let the name Lilibet be forgotten, even if it meant lying to the world. She wanted the girl's name to be remembered forever. Only then, the sacrificed girl in the Twilight War of the Gods will have a chance to return in eternity. Even though the chance seems very small, maybe even a complete lie, the magical sword Lilibet still believed that one day it would come. As long as the sword is here, the person is here too. The name engraved on the sword's blade is a memory that the magical sword Lilibet will never forget. Lilibet. For that elusive hope, the magical sword has been waiting for millions of years, maybe even millions more to come. The eternal guardian, this is the belief that the magical sword holds on to. Imitating the moves of the departed girl, echoing her voice exactly, the magical sword unleashed Lilibet's divine sword skill. The enormous tree of origin transformed into a symbol covering the heavens and earth, causing a group of fearless abyssal deities to sense a deadly crisis. Giant tentacles repeatedly struck what appeared to be the illusionary branches of the tree of origin, but all in vain. The symbol of the tree of origin from the age of gods possesses a divinity that cannot be interfered by any evil force. The branches lead to an ancient divine being's realm. Even though the era of gods has ended and all the godly thrones in the twilight of the gods have collapsed, the tree of origin has long disappeared, this symbol still holds a power above all else. Kabara shouted loudly the name of the tree of origin. The divine sword Lilibet unleashed the divine power held by Azure Excalibur. Symbolizing the origin of the gods, the world tree instantly surrounded the entire sky tower, with each branch spreading endlessly in all directions. Abyssal evil gods flooding into the gap of the sky tower, one by one, were disintegrated and annihilated by the holy light. Facing the symbol of the world tree's origin of the gods, their resistance was no different from insects. Symbolizing the origin of life and wisdom, the world tree even captured the void crack opened by the great witch Flora, extending its branches to repair this non-flaw in the floor. In the name of the gods, the Order of the Divine Light imposed sanctions. This is the ultimate power of Azure Excalibur. Even though the era of the gods has ended, as long as Azure Excalibur still possesses the power to summon the world tree symbol, it means that there are still divine beings responding to the voice of the tree of origin. These divine beings can no longer be considered descendants nurtured by the world tree, they are only inheritors of the fallen divine ranks, they are the new era of divine beings. Among them, only a few exceptions, like the 3 shining branches on the world tree branch right now, symbolizing the Norns of the world tree. It's over. Lilibet jumped down from the sky tower and returned to the door at the bottom of the tower, inserting the divine sword into the soul gold sand and closing her eyes. For now, they couldn't chase after Shea Longness. Chapter 1378. The flirting method of the divine sword. Being able to unleash a super powerful divine sword skill that can defeat 2 digital abyss evil gods in one strike is not easy. Moreover, the current Azure Excalibur is without an owner, so the consumed power of the divine sword cannot be replenished through the owner. The Kabara sword that pierced the sky just now consumed a large amount of the divine sword power of Azure Excalibur Lilibet. A god weapon without an owner, even though it has the ability to fight independently, has its flaws. Translated by Gravity Tales. The flaw is the difficulty in replenishing consumed power. This is not a problem for battles of legend rank generally, but if you want to unleash the ultimate move like just now, there might be a lack of power afterward. Fortunately, this is the Sky Tower. As the guardian of the Sky Tower, the magical sword Lilibet had a special way of recovering her strength due to an agreement with someone. By inserting the physical form of the magical sword into the soul gold sand, she could restore her power with a large amount of soul gold sand. One day, after calculating the strain from forcibly splitting and transferring the power to unleash the world tree's power, Lilibet closed her eyes. To temporarily halt Shea Longness's pursuit, she paused for 24 hours, allowing the chasing-type sword bodies to enter automatic mode and track Shea Longness's location. By waiting for 24 hours, she could fully recover her strength and resume the chase. The item she had stolen must be recovered, unless unexpected events like the Sky Tower being attacked by a large group of squid evil gods occurred. Pursuing Shea Longness remained the top priority task. The warm sensation of the soul gold sand gradually filled the depleted power of the sword Azure Excalibur's physical form. In the lonely millions of years, these special gravel had always been an important power supplement for the sword Lilibet and could be reused. She had become accustomed to this method of recharging. On the Gold Coast stage of the Lady, Lilibet, who was continuously weakening, opened her eyes. Things are changing. Continue the first sequence task. Track Shea Longness. Faced with a confused and anxious Yunxi, Lilibet's expression remained as cold as always, which was familiar to Yunxi. However, knowing the truth about Lilibet, he, who was ready to confess to Lilibet, still couldn't bring himself to speak up until now. This is really too painful. Knowing that there would be no response, a confession destined to fail turned out to be so difficult to say. Lilibet, Lilibet, who is the Lilibet he likes? Always appearing before him was the divine sword Lilibet, but the landscapes depicted in Yunxi's mind were more than just Lilibet. At least in Yunxi's imagined future, Lilibet would smile at him, exuding warmth like a gentle woman. After learning the truth about Lilibet, all of Yunxi's fantasies about Lilibet's future collapsed. Can a divine sword smile? Can a faithful sword, who values everything about its master more than itself, truly comprehend the concept of love? Yunxi would never doubt that Lilibet's love for its master, Azure Excalibur, likely transcended love, creating a bond between them that no one else could interfere with. It might not be love, but it transcended love, a connection between the god weapon and its master's soul. Enduring millennia of loneliness for the sake of the deceased Azure Excalibur, Lilibet, the divine sword, was like the landscapes seen in Yunxi's dreams. Maiden. Sword. The Sky Tower. In the past, Yunxi's attention was always on the girl, never imagining that the sword he knew was actually the true form of Lilibet. The real Azure Excalibur transformed Lilibet. He only caught a fleeting glimpse when he was quickly expelled from connecting directly with the sword Lilibet. Without a doubt, the sword Lilibet does not allow Yunxi to enter her inner realm to touch the long-deceased true Azure Excalibur that transformed Lilibet. This lie, upheld by the sword Lilibet for millions of years, will not be doubted by anyone anymore. The legacy of Azure Excalibur transforming Lilibet to Elizabeth's name has been perfectly passed down, becoming the guardian of the Sky Sword God's domain. Yunxi will not reveal this secret, as he decided long ago to keep it hidden for the rest of his life. So now, he is about to confess his feelings to the sword Lilibet. Even though Yunxi had experience proposing to millions of brides before, he didn't know how to react when he spoke the magical words to Lilibet, who was a divine sword. Can a divine sword have romantic feelings after all? Her unwavering dedication to her masters will meant that a divine sword like her wouldn't engage in romantic relationships. Yunxi sadly realized that the answer was quite clear. Divine swords do not need love. Yunxi suspected that Lilibet, his first love and a divine sword, probably didn't understand what love even meant. It doesn't matter if they come from different races. Their backgrounds are irrelevant. Being non-human is not a problem at all. But Yunxi had never learned the secret to confessing love to a god weapon that already has an owner and is fiercely loyal to them. Such a textbook does not exist. Rather than confessing love, the biggest challenge is teaching the divine sword Lilibet how to express romantic feelings. Achem. After losing all its power, leaving only its basic tracking abilities, Lilibet tilted its head and suddenly approached Yunxi, showing a curious expression that was completely unfamiliar to Yunxi. You have a familiar scent. The scent of sand, it smells nice. Yunxi stared blankly at the familiar yet unfamiliar beautiful face in front of him. Is this the divine sword's unique way of making conversation? Are you everywhere? With its intelligence basically reset, the divine sword Lilibet seemed to enjoy the scent emanating from Yunxi more and more as it kept sniffing. Due to the main entity temporarily abandoning this entity, the current form of the divine sword Lilibet was completely blank, only in a state of a blank tracking weapon. Because of this, the god sword's body is now set to automatic mode, without any elements of fighting. What appears in front of Yunxi at this moment is the god sword Lilibet, with all combat components removed and in a completely initial state. Apart from the command to track sheer longness, the god sword Lilibet, moving in the form of a body, appears as pure and innocent as a newborn child. I really like your scent. Lilibet, speaking like a child, said words that made Yunxi's heart race and his ears turn red. Happiness came so suddenly, Yunxi suddenly felt that the world was so beautiful. Chapter 1379, Inhale, Inhale, inhale happy. It felt like his whole body was flying. What is the likelihood of one's first love, dream lover, saying the word like to them? Besides, this first love and dream lover, from any angle, cannot exist in Yoonshi's past. I also. Yoonshi stuttered, totally losing his usual calmness. This is what Lilibet called liking. The beautiful azure Excalibur, which he could only see in his dreams before, spoke in a magical language. A feeling of happiness swept over Yoonshi's body, the 16-year-old boy's mind boiling with thoughts, almost making him say in response, "I like you, Lilibet." It was such a dreamy time for someone you like to confess to you. Yet, something seemed off. Looking at Lilibet's pure and flawless eyes, Yoonshi felt she was somewhat different from the familiar sword-wielding Lilibet. The Lilibet he remembered had never shown such a pure and lovely expression. Even though her appearance and outline stayed the same, Yoonshi somehow felt that the Lilibet in front of him might not be the familiar Lilibet he knew. Her cute and clear eyes seemed more like those of Miu Miu, an innocent child like Adley who didn't understand much about the world. Her words of liking seemed to lack any elements of love. Actually, she didn't say she likes you, but rather likes your scent. Yoonshi watched Lilibet, who kept sniffing and looking curious, with a puzzled expression on his face. This wasn't the Lilibet he knew. Her curious gaze was more like that of a hungry child discovering something delicious and showing pure emotions. "Am I a piece of bread?" Yoonshi couldn't help but smile at the unfamiliar Lilibet in front of him, feeling no hint of romance. It should have been obvious that Lilibet wouldn't say "I like you," especially now, acting as the faceless god. Even if she knew the starry sky chess master Yoonshi, it wouldn't make sense. The Lilibet Yoonshi knew as the goddess sword was a cold and lonely queen. If the passionate Hua resembled a queen of summer, radiant like the sun, then Lilibet was a queen of winter, with an eternal frozen aurora. Two people with very different personalities, Yoonshi and Hua, surprisingly have some similarities. So even after waking up from his dream, Yoonshi couldn't help but fall in love with Hua. Both Lilibet and Hua were Yoonshi's first love, one in his dreams and one in the real world. In his dream, Yoonshi sees Lilibet, bringing about his death and rebirth. In the real world, Yoonshi redeems Hua and brings her hope. Need additional elements. Lilibet, temporarily removed from battle mode and acting automatically, naturally approaches Yoonshi and gets closer. Suck, 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 suck. Lilibet needs to absorb more power from the soul gold sand to replenish energy. In the projection of the Gold Coastline, the place where Lilibet is most familiar with the smell of soul gold sand is naturally here, at the faceless god. Getting close to the soul gold sand and absorbing the scent of the soul fragment in it is a habit that the divine sword Lilibet has developed over thousands of years, similar to how humans eat when hungry. Now, Yoonshi is the food for this Lilibet. Oh, I understand now. Yoonshi couldn't refuse as Lilibet approached him with open arms. He knew that Lilibet liked something about him, not him as a person. He didn't know exactly what it was, but he was sure it had nothing to do with love. Faced with his dream lover approaching him with such innocent eyes and sitting in his lap, who could resist? Yoonshi couldn't resist, so he even sat down to make Lilibet more comfortable on his lap. "I need to replenish my magic." Lilibet, in autopilot mode, looked up with a pure expression at Yoonshi, who seemed lost in thought. Seeing Lilibet's hopeful expression, Yoonshi couldn't bring himself to say no. Translated by Gravity Tales? With Lilibet so close, Yoonshi faintly understood what she wanted. It was the scent of soul fragments on him, the greatest treasure hidden on the Gold Coastline. This wasn't the power he was ready to have now, his soul wasn't prepared to accept these soul fragments yet. Just now, when using Gigabit wings, only a tiny portion of soul fragments was used up compared to the storage amount in the Gold Coastline. If absorbing these soul fragments now, one can indeed immediately gain vast memories and knowledge, but also bear a soul pressure that he currently cannot handle. The knowledge remembered by Starchild includes endless star trajectories, including the starry seas of the past, present, and future, even the radiant years that even creator rank cannot bear. So, these soul fragments cannot be picked up now. At least wait until he breaks through the legend rank with his own power before touching these things. The future overdraft caused by using the Gigabit wings of the legend rank is insignificant compared to this terrifying amount. Starchild in a complete form carries endless trajectories that even the former girlfriends of Creator rank find unbelievable. Using soul gold sand of this quality to replenish magic for a god sword without a master is somewhat wasteful. Comfortable. Lilibet, who has lost the element of battle and acts in completely automatic mode, is like a puppet, showing no guard against Yunshi. This is an instinct formed by the god sword Lilibet after absorbing soul gold sand too many times, and the Azure Excalibur without a master has maintained its strong vitality by continuously absorbing the aura of Starchild's soul gold sand. For the magical sword Lilibet, breathing in the essence of soul gold sand every day had become as natural as eating. Perhaps, even the main body of Lilibet currently absorbing soul gold sand in the Sky Tower is unaware that her other self in the nightmare world is doing the same thing. Yunshi, who was being absorbed, looked at Lilibet's face full of bliss, feeling her slowly warming body temperature, with a melancholic expression. What will be the result of confessing to Lilibet at this moment? Is it meaningful to do so? Although he knew that the Lilibet in his arms now was as innocent as a child, he still confessed to her. Perhaps, it was like a 16-year-old confessing to an elementary school student. No matter how you look at it, this is all wrong. Chapter 1380, Yunshi's confession. Next to the beach of Gold Coast, Lilibet snuggled in the arms of the faceless god, her feet spread out, her little hands occasionally touching the faceless god's somewhat cold cheek. Yunshi looked at Lilibet in his arms, who looked like a child, with a complicated gaze, hesitating to make a decision. Under the stage of the noble ladies, Flora, watching this warm scene, was furious. Of course, this anger was definitely not directed at Yunshi, but at the shameless guarding Sky Sword who was now pretending to be a good girl in Yunshi's embrace. Why couldn't she see this side of the Sky Sword? God aura, show me the goods. Show the goods. Show the goods. I want rare items. Show me the rare type of spirits. In the empty space, Nightmare Sovereign God Aura heard the deafening roar of Great Witch Flora. Translated by Gravity Tales. Flora, we're out of stock. Elite level spirits are not easy to deal with. Watching the insect princess being defeated, God Aura felt sorry for her elite spirits. As a collector of mutated spirits, God Aura, the Nightmare Sovereign, felt heartbroken seeing so many high-quality spirits being effortlessly defeated. It's like selling off the collectible figures one has gathered. Even though they were sold for a good price, once they are gone, they can't be retrieved. Watching them being mistreated hurts the conscience. Ridiculous, letting the Sky Sword do as they please. Hiding in the arms of an elder, utterly despicable. Flora gazed enviously at Lilibet entering automatic recharge mode, wishing she could take that spot. Cunning, too cunning. How could you be like this, Lilibet, so cold and distant just now? Aren't you the ancient Sky Sword, a renowned sword wielder even in the era of gods? Those useless abyss squids were wiped out one by one directly. Ah, so frustrated. Why is time passing so slowly? I'll remember, Lilibet. This grudge will last forever. Charging. Lilibet entering automatic charging mode looked a bit silly and cute, completely different from her usual cold self. Lilibet. I want to tell you. Even though Yunshi knew that the Lilibet in front of him was acting strange, he was determined. The Red Heart Queen's masquerade happened by pure chance, and Sia's world couldn't connect to the Sky Tower. If they didn't speak to Lilibet this time, who knows when they would meet again? Carrying the curse of his 4 ex-girlfriends, any unexpected danger could happen at any time. If they missed this chance, there might not be another. Despite knowing that his first love Lilibet wasn't human but actually the Azure Excalibur itself, and might not even have human romantic feelings, Yunshi still liked her. Only after mustering enough courage did he prepare to confess. For the Nightmare Sovereign in the empty space, what happened on the ladies' stage was just a performance, but for Yunshi, It was a sincere confession he had to make right now. No matter if he gets a response, no matter if she understands or not, he still has to say it. This is Yunshi's courage, his first love confession. Lilibet. I like you. Maybe it's love at first sight? In the hazy thoughts of the young boy, on that night when he first stepped on the Gold Coastline, he saw the figure that had been standing watch for countless ages. Fate. Or a miracle. In his memory, she always stood quietly in front of the door of the Sky Tower, with the golden beach stretching out beneath her feet. 3 strands of ice-blue hair stood upright on her forehead, long braids hanging down behind her, and steel-blue gemstones adorned the cuffs of her sleeves. The sword-shaped ribbon at the corner of the dress hung down, always giving a very cold sense of aloofness. The azure blue sword, longer and slimmer than her delicate body, with a blade over 1/2 meter long, and a large lock hole on the circular compass, making people curious about the secrets locked inside. The girl in bluish steel, with a commanding posture and eyes that always keep others at a distance. The current Yun-shi finally learned that secret. Concealed in the compass of the divine sword was the body of the girl, the last trace left by Lilibet with the azure Excalibur in this world. The ancient divine sword, transformed into the appearance of the divine sword wielder, fulfilling a millennia-old promise with someone, guarding the Sky Tower and the Sky Sword God's domain. That determination, that belief, did not fade because Yun-shi learned the truth, shining even brighter like a gem washed by the river of time. Yun-shi did not regret loving Lilibet, even though she was not the warm-hearted Lilibet he had imagined, but Lilibet did not understand what love was. Tastes good, great review. Faced with Yun-shi's confession, the charged-up Lilibet in energy mode gave her response. Ahaha, just as I expected. Yun-shi chuckled sadly. Instead of confessing feelings, maybe Lilibet, the divine sword, needed to learn the basics of love first, to understand what love is before realizing the courage Yun-shi had mustered at this moment. It's like playing the lute to a cow. But why is it that simply speaking out loud made Yun-shi feel like a weight had been lifted from his heart? Looking on the bright side, at least Lilibet didn't outright reject him, which might be the best news for Yun-shi after all. It's certainly much better than a response like, "You're a nice person, but we're not a good match." Lilibet. Lilibet. The first Lilibet was the one Yun-shi had imagined, the azure Excalibur wielder from the twilight age of the gods, a divine spirit protecting justice and order. The second Lilibet was the real one, who had taken the place of the original azure Excalibur wielder, continuing the mission of the Lilibet. Where is the line between make-believe and real? Is the Lilibet he likes just a shadow of the past sword master? How much of the Lilibet Yun-shi loves, who now acts as the goddess sword, is still part of the past Lilibet? Always feel like your first love is something special. Replenish magic. After rushing into Yun-shi's embrace, Lilibet found a better way to recharge, more efficient than being in Yun-shi's embrace. So, what method is better at replenishing magic than a close hug? The answer is negative distance contact. Lilibet turned around, earnestly pushed Yun-shi down on the beach, and then kissed him. The soft lips brought a taste similar to ice and snow. What crime is it when being violated by a girl? Chapter 1381. The dreamy time. The kiss with Lilibet was perhaps the most wonderful feeling Yun-shi has ever experienced in his life. Because Lilibet's lips were cold and had a fresh fragrance, they touched Yun-shi's heart more deeply than the passionate Lamia's or the shy and charming Celian queen. This is Lilibet kissing me. When Yun-shi was suddenly attacked by Lilibet, he briefly went blank, feeling as if someone had hit his head hard. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Deep questions similar to life philosophy kept emerging in Yun-shi's mind, until finally all the words turned into one sentence: I was kissed. Did Lilibet, his dream lover, kiss him, her first love? Happiness came so suddenly that Yun-shi couldn't even react. Ugh. Lilibet, sensing a better way to recharge in auto mode, continued to deepen, absorbing the soul gold sand aura carried by Yun-shi in a way that left him breathless. Beneath the ladder-like facade, the great witch Flora had completely lost control. This is outrageous. You dare take advantage of your senior. Is this how you uphold the ancient sky sword as the guardian of order? This is breaking the rules. If Flora could have stormed onto the stage, she would have likely charged in already. How could she allow Lilibet to behave so recklessly? Give me more flavor. Even though she had never learned, Lilibet instinctively knew how to French kiss, delving her tongue repeatedly into the faceless god's depths. Yunxi, who was completely synchronized with the faceless god, could clearly feel the warmth of Lilibet's skin as she sat on him, along with the slightly cool taste of her small tongue. This is a crime. Yunxi had never thought about being pushed down by Lilibet on his own initiative. With Lilibet's cold temperament, even in Yunxi's most extravagant fantasies, he couldn't imagine her taking the initiative to kiss him. The attributes of Lilibet's dream lover would make Yunxi so excited that he couldn't sleep all night, even just holding hands. This world is just too unrealistic. In front of the distant sky tower, Lilibet, who had automatically entered a state of meditation, shivered lightly, and her eyebrows twitched a few times. It seems like the speed of absorbing Soul Gold Sand's power has increased. This is not an illusion. The power of the divine sword, which originally took 24 hours to replenish, is now replenishing at a speed about 10% faster and still slowly increasing. Great, it's time to chase Shea Longness, and we can do it earlier now. Lilibet, a chase-type split body in the reflection world of the Gold Coastline, keeps attacking, and attacking. The action performance is all about kissing, and more kissing. After all, Lilibet is in a feminine pose, so close contact is the simplest and easiest way to convey this. Her long legs and the faceless god fit perfectly together. Face to face, chest to chest, leg to leg, foot to foot. With no room for anything else, their bodies pressed together closely, and with intense kissing at close range, Lilibet is giving it her all. Yunxi couldn't resist, he was completely lost in the kiss with his first love. In the emptiness, the 12 nightmare sovereigns seemed to be sleepwalking, watching the couple who were close together. Can this also happen? Am I seeing things? Is that Lilibet? The oldest guardian in the Sky Sword? This is the most impregnable fortress among all the participants, and the prince actually managed to conquer it. It seems like Lilibet took the initiative. What method did this prince use? Rescuing the beauty. Does Lilibet also fall for this trick? Even the boldest nightmare sovereign never imagined that Lilibet would be conquered. This is the Sky Sword, which has an entire coastline of soul gold sand. The quality of those soul gold sand is so high that even these nightmare sovereigns are drooling over it. Just grab a bag on the beach, it can scramble the brains of the evil gods in the abyss. The reward from the Red Heart Queen's masquerade was not worth mentioning for her at all. Who would have thought that someone could conquer the ice-cold the Sky Sword on the maiden stage? What an outstanding ability. The strength shown by this prince completely outperformed all the ladies of the legend rank in the competition. Even the nightmare sovereigns here don't have the qualification to roll on the sands of Lilibet's Gold Coast online. Oh wow! That's the adult's lesson. The Golden Crow Princess covered her eyes, peeking at the kiss between Yunxi and Lilibet, filled with envy. Translated by Gravity Tales? Lilibet seems a little unusual. Cyber Elf Alpha compared Lilibet's behavior patterns with what she knew about Lilibet and came close to the truth. She's fickle. What's wrong with Lilibet? The tipsy Ouroboros caught a whiff of conspiracy. That move just now was really good. Cassina the battle god gave high praise to Yunxi's divine sword skill Gigabit wings just displayed. This is a problem if your disciple is being disloyal and indecisive. Strong people can do whatever they want. Flora. Are we continuing with the plan? Shea Longness looked at the slightly silly Lilibet and felt that this was the perfect time to escape. This Lilibet is definitely not the same decisive and ruthless Azure Excalibur who chased her all over the world. Of course the plan will continue. Flora gritted her teeth as she watched Lilibet kissing Yunxi, and the anger in her eyes was evident. Seeing Lilibet being affectionate with Yunxi in front of her made Flora feel very uncomfortable. Flora's intuition was right. Among all the participants, Lilibet was her greatest rival and could even become her lifelong enemy. The kiss lasted a very long time, But for Yunxi, it felt like a fleeting moment. Until the scenery of the Gold Coast line faded away, and the time for the debut of the ladies' stage ended, Yunxi felt a sense of loss and finally understood. His wonderful and sweet time with Lilibet came to an end. Just like in fairy tales where the prince and the heroine have a ball, when the clock strikes 12, the heroine, protected by magic, would disappear, and the magical time would end. Holding on to the place where Lilibet kissed deeply, Yunxi vividly remembered every detail and shape of her wonderful tongue. Would he be able to see today's Lilibet again next time? Chapter 1382, The Witch's Maze. Lilibet, coming down from the scene of the ladies' stage at Gold Coast line, stretched lazily, looking completely satisfied. Magic replenishment, insufficient. More soul gold sand essence is needed for recharging. Then, Lilibet, who had entered automatic mode, began to stare at Shea Longness next to her, the thief who stole the tribute offerings to the Western Queen Mother from the secret warehouse of the Sky Tower. Stare. 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 Shea Longness, who was being stared at by Lilibet, felt a huge pressure like being targeted by a venomous snake. Flora, let's just get rid of her. For Shea Longness, this was the only way to solve the problem completely. There was no escaping. This was the bloody lesson learned after being killed by Lilibet over a dozen times. Not knowing what mark Lilibet had placed on her, no matter where she tried to run, Lilibet always found a way to catch up. Of course. Lilibet must die. Flora stared at Lilibet. The plan to ambush Lilibet was already in full swing. Those abyss squids never learn their lesson. If you offer enough bait, like soul gold sand, you can always lure out a large group from the shallow abyss. This time, Lilibet won't be able to escape. But before that, she still has to complete her most magnificent stage performance. As the brightest leading lady of the Red Heart Queen's masquerade, she must put the most perfect ending to this ladylike stage. Senior, I'm here. Lilibet, for sure, will not lose to her. My love for the senior is the strongest. The endless ruins scenery, without looking at Yunxi, he knew that the final leading lady had arrived. The most special participant in the Red Heart Queen's masquerade is always the Great Witch who appears at the end of every event. Dusk Witch, Flora. The apocalyptic ruins scenery is her obsession and her hometown. However, the ruins scenery presented this time is noticeably different from the last time. It's the sky. Yunxi looked up and saw the sky starting to be covered by a thin layer of black. The already dim colors of the ruins world became even deeper because of this thin layer of black, like a nightmare. Caw. A certain sound began to echo above this long-decayed ruins world. Cruelty. Destruction. Heartless and cruel, like a voice from the underworld, attracting death and destruction. It was the silhouette of the Great Crow. Sensing the scent of world's end, emerging from the nightmare world, announcing the black disaster that would bring about the world's end. Flora. Yunxi looked at the continuously expanding black area in the sky, feeling a tightness in his chest. Elder. I want to be with you. I really like the way you talk, and the joy of being taught about love by you. It was my senior who showed me what true love is. Flora's voice echoed in Yunxi's ears with joy and anticipation, coming from the Dusk Witch's heart. But soon, Flora's voice started to sound strange. Why is that? Why do I feel unhappy even though it should be a happy thing? You are so amazing, senior, always able to touch people's hearts easily, possessing everything I don't have. Meeting you, senior, should be such a happy thing. It would be so nice if it were just you and me together. I know it's a very extravagant thought, and you must be laughing at me. I want to be the number one in the eyes of my seniors. No one can take away this position, no matter who they are. I want to be with my seniors all the time, and I want them to know more about me. So, senior, come find me. This is a game of hide and seek. The game ends when my senior finds me. By then, my senior will definitely know a lot more about me. As Flora's voice echoed, the dark sky started expanding slowly, a scene that Yunxi had never seen before in this ruined world. Darkness descended. The entire ruined world was covered by endless darkness. The concepts of time and space started to blur in this dark place. It seemed like an indescribable being was staring at Yunxi in the darkness, posing a huge threat. Is this a game of hide and seek? Yunxi reached out his hand as the body of the faceless god emitted a faint silver light, illuminating an area of tens of meters around. The world had completely transformed. Walls resembling some kind of flesh appeared around Yunxi, with even the ceiling having a similar structure. Dark nerves and blood vessels wriggled, giving off a creepy vibe. Upon closer inspection, blood could be seen flowing inside the walls. Translated by Gravity Tales? This is. Looking at the structures around him, Yunxi made a somewhat uncertain guess. Boom! The fist of the faceless god struck the wall made of flesh and blood tissues, creating a large hole. The damaged part of the organization quickly squirmed, extended, and repaired the damaged wall. Behind the wall, there were other passages and walls leading to unknown areas. Indeed, the words above. The faceless god jumped up from the ground and heavily punched the top of the passage. The flesh and blood structure, identical to the wall, was blasted through, revealing another level of passage and a clear view of an identical wall. Are they all the same? Yunxi became more certain about where they were. Flora told him a story about the destruction of her homeland. The natural disaster monster lured here by the scent of death in the world, possessed the power to travel through dimensions, the Great Crow. Here, inside the body of the Great Crow, was the gradually spreading black shadow he had just seen in the ruined world. The true Great Crow was such a colossal creature, with wings wide enough to cover a world, capable of pulling all extraordinary beings from the entire world into its body to devour them completely. At the same time, you can shrink down to stay in the eye of the Great Witch Flora and blend in with Flora. Flora summoned the real Great Crow and waited somewhere on the body of this Great Crow. Yunxi was puzzled as to why Flora did this. First, let's make a mark. Yunxi pulled out a silver hair from the faceless god and stuck it upright in the ground. Inside the dark body of the Great Crow, this shining silver hair could be retrieved. It was the perfect waymark. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.